doing when we was young boys. Turned our strength into anger and noise. Separated minds, broke the bond. Now we strangers in the same war zone. But truth is, you, me, and I'm you. Different stories, same food, same blood, same truth, same fight, just different views. Yeah. Yeah, we gotta rebuild what was broken apart. Start with the mind and heal the heart. No more crabs in the bucket mentality. We kings start acting accordingly. If I fall, will you pick me up? If you down, I won't give you up. We're stronger together than alone. That's the truth they never want us to know. No more division. No more pride, no more ego, getting in the way of the ride. We must first be brothers before the rise. Came through the kingdom with divided minds. Too many scars, too much pride. But we heal when we stand side by side. We must first be brothers, hear the cry, same struggle, same pain inside. If we don't love us, we won't survive. So I'm reaching out, brother, I'm trying. This ain't just a song, this a call to the black man, to the lost man, to the strong man, to the broken man. We don't move forward until we stand together. We must first be brothers. We must first.
All right, peace, family. We'll go ahead and get started here. Start with our salutation. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is but one God, whose proper name is Allah. We thank him for making his divine intervention in our affairs in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom praise are forever due. And we thank him for raising up his messenger Messiah, Elijah of your Bible, and the Muhammad of your Holy Quran, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I would be remiss and of a great fail if I did not acknowledge and thank Allah for his servant and divine reminder, the man who personally saved our lives, or saved my life, I should say. And I speak of none other than his divine messenger Messiah in our midst, Warner, final Warner, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It is with their names that I greet you here, my dear brothers, with the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, the language of our forefathers, of As-salam alaikum. In English, it simply means peace be unto you. We want to welcome you to another edition of We Must First Be Brothers, which is an institute driven with the agenda to bring about true unity and true brotherhood. So we thank you for joining our call. We thank those who are listening to our call via YouTube or Facebook. We ask that you please share. We do ask that you subscribe and help support what we're trying to do, because it is noble and worthy of your support. So we encourage you, if you're online, please let somebody know to tune in to our discussion. I think you will find this one to be very, as all of them are, very, very powerful with the help of Almighty God. So, brothers, we start with a thought that your brother was having, something Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us. He taught us that the black man is mentally dead, spiritually dead, and in need of resurrection. That's a very heavy statement, very heavy and powerful truth. The clearest sign of death among black men is the loss of authority. A dead man cannot govern, a dead man cannot protect, a dead man cannot shape the future of his own people. And one of the greatest indicators that the black man has been made mentally and spiritually dead in America is that collectively we have no authority over our own women, over our own children, our own seed. And that's insanity when you consider with every independent and free people how they operate. It's insanity, especially when you consider that our children are being educated, brothers, by the very system designed to undermine Black male authority. How? By constantly misrepresenting the Black man.
That's
By
right.
promoting the image of the broken Black male, the irresponsible Black male, the hypersexual Black male, the unintelligent Black male, the comedic buffoon. Meanwhile, the Black woman is often exalted above the Black man in how she is represented in the way of intelligence, discipline, and leadership, while Black fathers or the Black father is systematically ridiculed, demonized, erased, or made unnecessary. But the scripture teaches, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Proverbs 22:6. That means somebody must train the child. Somebody must guide the child. Somebody must shape the mind of the child. Somebody must establish order, discipline, structure, and vision. And historically, that responsibility rested heavily upon the father. Remind me of Kunta Kinte and the Roots when the father took the son out away from the mother. And as he was really about to depart from his mother, the mother said that, you know, when you come back, you won't be the same in words. You will be a man. Because that's the duty of a father, especially to his son. But there are many other roles and responsibility, even as it pertains to the psyche and development of a young girl. The presence of a father, the fatherly authority is essential. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that the Black man is the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. But we raise the question, how can we be called God while having no authority over his own household? Now, of course, we understand the conditions that has caused this, but we're making a point to drive a point. The scripture says, but if any provide not for his own house, especially those of his own house, pardon me, he has denied the faith. That's heavy. 1 Timothy 5:8. Let's take notice of this, brothers. Every successful Black figure, whether athlete, entertainer, leader, or businessman, usually has one common denominator: a father who pushed them. And I know I might get a little pushback on that because the father has been absent in many cases. So there was only the mother, and these children have been able to be successful. Gratitude to our sisters for holding it down. But I'm speaking to Black male authority, Black fatherly authority today, and what the contribution of Black men have made to successful young people, successful leaders in our community. But they had a father who pushed them, a father who demanded discipline, a father who saw greatness in his seed and drew it out. And yet, the most disrespected, ridiculed, and unacknowledged figure is often the father. This subject hit me really heavy after last week's discussion, brothers. But it intensified for me after I watched the Michael Jackson film. It was really interesting. I noticed that there was a constant theme, a constant effort in the cinematography itself to make Joe Jackson appear monstrous. From the very beginning, when he spanked his son, wanted to invoke an emotion in us or in those who watched to automatically place him in a position that was unloved or unliked or unappreciated. But the lighting, Brother John would know what I'm talking about, and anyone who is a photographer or a videographer would understand this. But the lighting, the camera angles, the tones in the treatment of the film, the framing, every time Joe Jackson came into play, you started getting this visual sensation to your mind. It's something we need to study. And I know some of you are like, a movie. No, this is way bigger than a movie. And one thing I also want to point out to you, Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us that the enemy would be trying to tell us the truth in the end, but many of us will be too dead to realize it. So those of us who are waking up, we have a responsibility to look deeply into these things and expose the agenda of Satan.
That's right.
And establish our position as fathers, as men. That's not something that is going to be given to us. That is something that we have to take. We're not having a discussion about a negotiation or protest asking somebody to give us anything. No man asks another man to give him anything unless it's his brother to help him get up, but not an enemy. You don't expect the enemy to help you get up out of the condition that the enemy put you in. That's insanity. Everything was designed to make Joe Jackson appear abusive, uncontrollable, and dangerous. You know this theme is very common for Black men. Now, with that being said, let's be very clear. We know that fathers are not perfect because we wouldn't be having these discussions if we were already where we wanted to be. But it is important that we point these things out. But what struck me was the larger agenda beneath the portrayal. Because without Joe Jackson, I call him the God maker. That's what I call him. And I affectionately say that. I'm not being sacrilegious or anything. He made a God. There is no Jackson 5. Without Joe Jackson, there is no global icon named Michael Jackson. Regardless to how you look at the relationship between the father and his own seed, his son that he shot into the womb of Miss Katherine Jackson, respectfully. Michael Jackson impacted the entire earth. But his father, a steel mill worker who took care of his family, organized his household, disciplined his children, recognized greatness in his own seed, and cultivated it. That is what the minister taught us. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan taught us the true meaning of educate, which means to draw out. Shows us how powerful and significant a father is. One of the songs that we have on our new album, We Must First Be Brothers, is Protect the Seed. It's really powerful. I'm really grateful to Allah for what's stated in it, because it's a very powerful truth in it. But it says a father's hand must water the seed. Joe Jackson saw something in his own children and drew it out of them. The father and the mother worked together for the family, but Joe Jackson was unquestionably the head. And today the enemy fears strong Black male authority because a disciplined father produces disciplined children. Right. A disciplined family produces disciplined communities. And disciplined communities produce nations, which is why the attack is aimed directly at the psyche, image, character of the Black man, the psyche of the Black woman, and the psyche of the Black children. The enemy understands something many of us have yet to figure out. If you control the seed, Brother Lewis, you control the future. The scripture says, lo, children are an heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is the reward. Psalms 127:3. Children, brothers, are wealth. Children are legacy. Children are future power. And if we do not regain control over our own seed, we lose everything.
That's right.
The old saying says, the hand that rocks the cradle
rules the world.
Well, our world is being ruled by our enemy because he is rocking our cradle. So tonight we're going to deal with black male authority, the attack on the black father, the psychological warfare against the black family, and what it means for black men to reclaim responsibility, structure, discipline, and authority over our own households and our own future. We welcome you, brothers, again to We Must First Be Brothers. And we want to dig into this subject. I want to say this just as a couple of ground rules. We want to try to stay as close to the subject matter, beloved brothers, as we possibly can. I know in our creative, free-thinking minds, sometimes we travel. It's okay to travel, but just make sure we come back to what we're here to talk about, because this is a very important conversation that we're having tonight. A lot rests on this. And I don't want us to become complacent or to begin to think that, oh, we're meeting weekly and we're talking, and it's just some type of verbal masturbation, pardon the expression, but just to get off one. No, we're not here to do that. We're here to establish a precedence. These words by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we must first be brothers, that comes from God himself, is an instruction to black men. And you can't find a more clear instruction and more relevant instruction than that instruction that he's giving us in terms of unity and how we must unite and build something in a future for our own. That is, again, not the responsibility of anybody else. That is our responsibility. It is our assignment, and we must adhere 100% to following that instruction. So let me see here. I want to make sure I get everybody in to the call. I hope I'm not missing anybody. But yeah, we just want to make sure that we stay true to what we are here to discuss. It's okay, again, to share things, but again, let's try to bring it back home to our point, our initial points. The reason I bring, I know sisters, I'm sorry, this is a brothers only joint. And I don't want to be mean to our dear beloved sisters, but you can listen. It's okay to listen to the discussion, but this is definitely a brotherly discussion, and we want to go deep into it. We are going to open up where we're going to invite our sisters into our discussion, in a very constructive and intelligent way. So thank you so much for understanding that. But again, we want to draw back to our points. We want to talk about this because this is very, very significant. This is why we are in the condition that we're in. We look at our children today, we can see our young people all over the place, out of control, because there's no fatherly representation. There's no fatherly authority. And we respect our dear sisters for all that they have done to hold it down, to make sure that we were able to get to where we are. Praise be to Allah for that. But that was a conditional. That is not the way and the design and the plan and will of Almighty God for our people. The black man has to take his rightful position. So when we point out the fact from what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us, when he said that we were dead, that's a sign that we need to be resurrected by a mighty teacher, Jesus, wisdom type figure, if you will, that will bring us back to ourselves, back to our true nature, our true identity. That is not negotiable. That's not negotiable at all. Damn it. We got to fight for that, bro. We got to fight for that. We got to get in fighting shape for that. That's what these conversations are about. We're getting in fighting shape. We have to go to war to reestablish dignity and worth. Our children have to look to their father again.
That's right.
As the hero, not to something outside of us. And our beloved sisters have to understand that you have been manipulated if you have a problem with accepting the fact that the father should be an authority and that the children should look up to their father in authority and out of love and admiration. That's really the assignment. That's a hard one, but it's a truth. Because again, as I said, the enemy has worked to manipulate the psyche on both parts. So I, again, welcome you all, brothers. I am so happy and grateful to Allah to be here. You know, we got so much going on and so many moving parts right now. Soon we'll have our website up and everything. We'll be rocking and rolling. We got a whole album out here, brothers, you know, thanks to Allah and his guidance and technology. And I mean dynamic wisdom for Black men to feed on and to keep ourselves in a high frequency of thinking. Brother John, we're going to go ahead and open it up and allow you to grace the mics, with grace the ones and twos and share your thought. And then we're going to come over here, you brother Lewis, and we're going to keep this thing moving, brothers. I see all my brothers on the call. And also I wanted to take moments to acknowledge brothers that are on the call as well. You know, we want to take time during our calls so we don't, you know, some brothers come on and leave and we don't ever even get to acknowledge it. We would definitely want to acknowledge our brothers. I don't know who my brother Jeff Rector is, but at some point we're going to come.
I invited him in.
Okay. Well, welcome, brother. And then we got brother Marcus. Then we got one of our staples. He's not a guest. He's a part of the process. That's brother Jay in the building. Who else am I seeing? Of course, brother Daryl and other brothers. So at some point or another, we just want to acknowledge our brothers on the call. Because, you know, we can get carried away on this discussion, and we won't do our due diligence in acknowledging you, but we want to acknowledge you for the reasons that are very important to us, you know, because we must first be brothers, and that's a fact, you know. So, dear brothers, brother John, go right ahead, Black man.
Yes, sir. Peace and blessings, brothers. Good to see everybody in. I know more and more y'all will be coming in. I was kind of holding off, but I just wanted to say that the theme tonight is very, very important.
Very.
It's so important that I don't believe that we as brothers look at ourselves as fathers. Ask yourself that. When the last time you ever looked in the mirror and said, I'm a father? So you can't be what you don't see yourself as. And if you see yourself as something and you own that, how many people just walk into your house and take your house? Right? How many people come in there and does a man let people just take their identity? You know, this is things that we really got to think about, like Lewis said. This is things we got to talk about. Do we just let people come and take our identity?
That's
and
right.
I'm not getting on anybody. I'm posing a question and some thoughts. You know, I had a couple of things on my mind, and Mike said something about Joe Jackson. And so I went and saw the movie, and Lewis was telling me to go see it. I went and saw it. And what you saw in there from Joe Jackson was that nobody was going to take his position. It wasn't a position. It wasn't like he was scared to lose his children. It was far from that. It was like he understood. Now, I'm going to bring somebody else in here that has to do, that people paint in the same way. That's Serena and Venus Williams' father. Huh?
Yes.
They did him the same way. Serena and Venus Williams known all over the world. And he carried a big stick too. You know, my father carried a big stick.
That's right.
So you don't know him. He carried a big stick. There's nothing wrong with a big stick. Because when you're a child, like, do we understand from an anatomy and physiology point of view that there are different parts of the brain and different parts of the spinal cord that actually govern you at certain times? Do you understand that? Do we understand that there's part of the spinal cord that controls you? Don't. I'm gonna give you an example. Being a neonatal ICU nurse, I've actually seen babies born without brains. I'll say that again. They are born without a brain. They will lie. They will be lying on the bed, breathing, heart beating,
Wow.
eye movement. You put a bottle to their mouth, they will suck. But if you look at the X-ray, there's nothing there. That is the reptilian aspect of the body that is controlling. Period. Mothers and fathers would ask me all the time, he's alive or she's alive. Do you think that one day? Yeah, just have to be honest and say it to the best way you can. There's no brain there. You don't grow a brain overnight. When you're born, if you don't have it, you just don't get it. So I'm saying this at some point in some time, you can see right now, if Joe Jackson and Serena Williams' father was so bad, what would they do with these children today? Do you think all these children today will be ripping and running? Don't know what sex they are, don't know how to carry themselves in public? I don't know if half of y'all seen, but most of this week has been going around Instagram. This young boy is walking around interviewing different children in high school, giving them something to read, and they can't even read it. They can't even read it. What father walks around and not allow their children to learn how to read? What father walks around and don't allow their children to know how to carry themselves in public? What father raise a child and don't give them responsibility? This is what we have to understand. A father sets standards. I'm gonna say it one more time. A father sets standards. They do not want us to have standards. This is a world that say, try it. You might like it. Do it. It's up to you. It's your truth. Well, in my house, when I had a father, it wasn't my truth. It was his truth.
It was the
and
truth.
my truth and his truth had to line up with the truth.
That's right.
And I guarantee you, his truth lined up with the truth. It was my truth that 99% of the time was off, and he had to bring me back online. So what happens is that we have allowed these children, we have allowed these women, we have allowed our community to drop the standard. At one time, the standard to know and the benchmark to know anything, you come to the Black community. How to dress, how to talk, how to walk, how to carry yourself, how to do whatever was in the Black community. That is no longer, they don't come to the Black community for the standard anymore. They come to the Black community for the dancing, the singing, the shucking, the jiving, and they use us to point out what the N-word looks like. But they don't use us to say the standard. Our standard has always been, and we have to go back to Black excellence. That is the standard. That is what Joe Jackson was showing, Black excellence. How do we know? As we say in this world, we used to say the proof is in the pudding. Now they say what? Joe Jackson has the receipts. He may not be here any longer, but you can pull up his receipts, and then you can point to each one of his children and show that they are his receipts. So I will give up the mic for a minute for Brother Lewis. Let him come in.
Yeah. I wanted to. We transition that point because it's something to be said, and I think it's important. Before we come over to you, Brother Lewis, and we're coming right to you. And I want you to want to seed your thought on this a little bit as well. It's important for us to understand that this is an intentional and deliberate attack. I don't want us to lose these crucial and key points. We got to understand what Satan is doing. I just have to keep it 100. The minister told us, Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told us, after a certain amount of time in this process, you should be ready to take on Satan. I want us to look at what we're looking at when it comes to Brother Joe Jackson, because the father is under severe attack. It was something really major. Movie was supposed to be about Michael Jackson, but I promise you, the theme in the movie was to make us to have a problem with Joe Jackson. Even when you
I
mentioned
agree, it
Brother
was.
John, when you mentioned Serena Venus' father, Mr. Williams, may God be pleased with both of the brothers, But if you notice in the movie, they kept continuously want again cast this shadow over the brother in such a way to demean his intelligence, But here he had supreme intelligence. Yeah, and a lot of these brothers have supreme intelligence. So they have to come back. And if you notice on the internet, and I'm using Joe as an example because I think it's something significant about Joseph Jackson, in in the overall scheme of things, and then Michael, of course, carry the same namesake, but Michael, these are signs in this, and then what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan taught us on Michael Jackson, and how then Michael had to go to war. So I was having a discussion, and I talked about how Joe may have been seemingly heavy-handed to Michael, but this was absolutely what Michael needed. See, a father don't have to fit what you think he should be. He may be totally aggressively in contrast to everything you think he should be toward a child. But if he's being used and operating in a divine frequency with a purpose, with aim and purpose, as it was with Joe Jackson, then you create this dynamic, Brother John, the holy affirming, the holy denying, and the holy advancing. But you create this dynamic. So Joe becomes the obstacle that Michael had to rise up to, which is why a father is so important. Brother Lewis, I want to go ahead and come right to you, brother. I can't hear you, black man. You're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, well now. Yes, sir.
This is one of the most incredible, powerful shows that we could ever do.
Praise
This is where we belong.
yes.
Thank you for your incredible introduction, and thank Brother John for helping to create this platform where we could have this most meaningful dialogue. Let me ask a question, because you said something in your introduction. You thank the sisters for holding it down for us. Did God put the sisters in charge? Or did the enemy put the sisters in charge or create the circumstances? I'm asking because this is something that we got to know. The enemy went to war with the original people. And he was losing that war, and it caused him to lose 2,000 years where we drove him up into the hills and cave sides of Europe. And every time he looked like he wanted to come out of Europe, the black man would take him out and send him back across the hot burning sands because we was putting fire on their backsides. We weren't doing this just because of their color. We were doing this because they were disagreeable to live with in peace. And so what the enemy did, and this is very important history, he stopped coming and he started sending his woman. We were gods. The sons of God saw the daughters of men is in the Bible. They were fair and they start cohabiting with these women. But these women were loaded with the poison mentality of their men, and they wanted to conquer us in warfare. So they started sending their women to talk to our women. Now, I don't know if it was called the feminazi movement during that time. But according to Mother Tanetta Muhammad, may Allah forever be pleased with her, she said that the number one slanderer on this earth was the Caucasian female. They would tell our women lies, half-truths, and slanders about us all day.
Mm.
And they broke the spirit of operational unity right there
Teach.
in Mecca and right there in our families.
Teach.
So too often we are married, but we don't know our roles. And this is why the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and what Minister Farrakhan is giving us is superior to anything you could learn anywhere,
Facts.
particularly in colleges and other organizations, groups, because they don't teach the nature of God or the nature of the Black man and the Black woman. Much of the conflict that we have with our woman is due to her being put in a position that her nature didn't sign up for. You hearing what I'm saying, brothers?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, when we join the FOI, we get general orders. And that first general order is so critical to us recapturing our masculinity, which is necessary to be in authority. And that is to take charge. This post and all temple property in view. So if you're on the scene, Black man, you are in charge. And you are responsible as the protector, the provider, the father, the leader, the supreme teacher, the supreme guide, the supreme disciplinarian within the temple property in your view, but particularly in your house and in your family. You can't do that without supreme wisdom in this world.
Facts.
Our women should reflect the energy of the man that they're with. But it can't happen if we don't have the right knowledge, wisdom, and understanding and how to structurally guide our families. Can you imagine? Now, we know the hypocrites were chasing the most honorable Elijah Muhammad because they didn't want us to have a man. And then finally, the government didn't want him teaching the religion of peace, or some people call it Islam. And so they put him in jail. And he stayed in jail. I think it was either 5 or 7 years, and you could level set it to be precise, Brother Michael, Brother John.
Right.
But can you imagine he gets out and there's a struggle with Mother Clara Muhammad as to who's going to be in charge of the nation? Just think about that. With all of the skill and talent and gifts that the Black woman has, and I'm speaking now of Mother Clara Muhammad, she subordinated that, and that was a reflection of her husband's wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. This is very important. And so the enemy doesn't want us to even learn how to exercise power and authority again. So he's always offering trinkets to our women. And now we got this sick, sadistic battle of the so-called sexes, gender, I think they call them gender wars. It's not gender wars. What it is the enemies in between us.
That's right.
And mixing our roles up and creating confusion. And the first thing we have to do is get the devil out of our affairs. We have to get him out and not accept the responsibility for women who don't agree that we got to have him out of our affairs. Then look at what the scripture says. Take notice. It says, without vision, the people perish. But the other part of it is, but he who keepeth the law walketh in peace, basically. So we have to become the embodiment of righteous behavior, righteous conduct. Now, I want to get just quickly Brother Joe Jackson.
Yeah.
See, Brother Joe Jackson, like most of our fathers, were victims of the environment they came out of. How do you expect my father to act? He found my grandfather with his brains blowed out everywhere.
Teach.
They go to jail for that. That image is still in my father's mind to this very moment. See what I'm saying? I had a very harsh, what people would classify as mean black father, militant, angry, very angry, and sometimes he would take that anger out on people. You understand this? This ain't no lollipop dude that I was raised up under.
Right.
But I love him. And I don't blame my father for nothing.
Nothing.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that injustice will drive you to insanity.
Facts, brother. Facts.
How the hell you expect him to act?
Teach.
The enemy, again, gets in between our families, so we don't understand one another properly. See? So when he starts acting a certain way in my family, the first thing people would say is, go get Louis. Because I could really handle his pain. See, the black man got a lot of pain. All of us got a lot of pain.
Yes.
And if you have a woman who don't understand your pain, she really is doing a disservice to you, and you're doing a disservice to her because she got pain, you got pain. Man, we got to give each other some grace. Last point. You are not required as a father to be perfect.
At all.
But whenever we talk about black men, we always got to say, but they wasn't perfect. Damn it, you don't have to be perfect.
Teach, brother. Teach.
What you got to be is dutiful.
And responsible.
What you got, and responsible.
That's right.
And responding to a man that God gave us and put in our midst as an example of what a father, a leader, a teacher, a guide looks like. And I'm talking about Minister Farrakhan.
Farrakhan, absolutely.
You have an obligation. Don't say you ain't no Muslim.
Right.
Shut your crazy self up. We're not talking about that. We're talking about recapturing power again.
That's right.
And you can't get no power without having the sunnah or some black man that you can latch on to and get up under.
That's right.
Not for homosexual purposes, by the way. In this wicked world, you got to say that there, Brother Michael.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
But if we could just rise above the emotion and turn to our Father in our midst. I've been talking and listening to Minister Farrakhan consistently since 1991. And it has elevated the frequency I exist on.
That's right.
Me too.
It's not that my father, my biological father, he would have made an excellent captain for Elijah Muhammad, the kind of mentality my father had, or lieutenant.
Yes.
But a lot of us as brothers, we don't even trust no black man. Do you hear me? Most of the black men that we come into contact with are psychologically castrated.
Teach. That's powerful.
They're coons and Uncle Toms that smile in Caucasian's face, scared to do for self. My dad wasn't a scary man, my biological father. So I'm saying that in order for us to rise to the occasion, because they want to do something right now, and it's going to take the black man to get this opposition out of our family. In order to do it, we got to have discipline, Brother Michael.
Yes, sir.
The minister said we need supreme discipline to minimize loss of life.
That's right.
Yes, yes.
Since that Supreme Court ruling across this country, all of the people are very upset, the blacks and the whites. And they're resegregating the country, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
We've helped them to destroy 100 years worth of generational wealth. And if we don't repent and atone to our father, the disciplinarian, Mr. Muhammad, we won't be able to make it, Brother Mike.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna stop.
Brother Lewis. Yeah, please. No, don't. I'm not saying please in terms of the stop, because what you're dropping is absolutely right on point, and with the right energy, spirit, and everything we need. The wisdom is right on target. But I was just gonna say, don't let all the fire out, because we got to carry this thing all the way through. You know, we got a lot to unwrap, and I want to also just again advise everybody that's listening. We want to stay true to the subject today. You know, like I said, as close as we can, to bring it back to what we're talking about, because as Brother Lewis, you caught it right off the top. This is one of the most important subjects that we can have, brother. This is our declaration of war as black men. We have to wage a war to establish our identity, and that is something we do unapologetically. We don't have to apologize for that, nor do we have to play patty cake to appease someone to make them feel better about what we're saying.
That's
no,
right.
We gotta, as the book said about that one in the book of Revelations, he said he went up and took the book. You see, talking about that lamb that was in the scripture. And that's symbolic, because we have to step up and take our position as men all over again. Brother Lewis hit so many powerful points. I do want to acknowledge all of those on the call. I said I want to try to work on that a lot better. We got Dr. J.A. Salam on the call. Good to see you, brother. Hadn't seen you in a minute. I know you're going to have some light for us tonight. Brother Chris Boone. Then if you are a Zoom user, it's important that you come from behind the sycamore tree. We all family here. If you don't have any name, Brother Mark. And then we have Brother Jeff Rector, and then Newhouse, and our own, which he really is classified as one of the hosts here. Anybody been on here for more than 2 or 3 shows, you host material. We all doing this together, Brother Jay. But Brother Rick Nash, and I think I mentioned Brother Carlton and others. But listen, I seen Brother Tony on the call. Somebody still got their. If you got your phone unmuted and you got stuff going on in the background, brothers, it would be respectful to just please put your phone on mute so we don't have to hear that. But praise be to Allah. Thank you so much for tuning in. But one thing, brother Lewis, that you said that really struck me. You mentioned 91. You've been listening to a man. And I was thinking about you. Absolutely right. I did not have a physical father. I had a great uncle. I had a good uncle. One of my uncles was a drug addict. I've had some good men in my life. Some soldiers from the streets. Some that I love. They taught me how to survive and navigate through this terrain. But I didn't have a direct father in the household. Mother was married a man. He was unfortunately not the strong man that he needed to be. So when I came to the teachings, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I met the same manhood love. I met a father. I met a father for the first time in my entire life, and I started listening to the minister in roughly 89. At that particular junction, and started the processing in this nation. But one thing that I can tell you that was the most attractive to me was the testicles. Nowadays, you got cats attacking the minister because he's up in age. But when you're a young man, and this is the thing, I don't know how we judge. And of course, I don't know how we judge, man. I just don't understand. I don't give a damn what you believe. I really don't. I don't give a damn what anybody believes. I'm not here to convert your belief in what I'm saying. I'm here to lift up a principle. If a man shows up, no matter what you think about the man, what character and quality do we find in that man that we can relate to, that we can draw from, no matter what? I used to say it all the time. I'm like, how can you look at this brother just as a common sense mindset brother and see this man stepping up, fighting for you as a man, talking with balls, with King Kong balls to the enemy, taking on the enemy. Ain't nobody took on the enemy like the minister. Now we talking about Candace. We talking about all these others that are taking on the small hat. The minister been taking on the small hats. He been taking on the enemy. That's how they got there. Absolutely. That's how they got the courage to do what they're doing. But it all started with the minister himself. Why can't we just extract the benefit of what we get from a strong black man. It goes right back to the same psychology that's being imparted, that's being planted into our thinking. And that is that let's make the black man of no real value, of no real substance. Let's ignore his credibility. Let's demagnetize him so that our people are not able to learn from him, or our children are not able to learn from our leadership, from fathers. You know, it's a sad thing that you got to always hear he did this, but you always got to hear but when it comes to a black man. You always got to hear this partition, you know, to try to you know, he can never just be great and we just leave it at that. You know, like Joe Jackson, for instance, I use this example. Oh, he needs to be more nicer. What the hell are you talking about? What about the man made by the grace of Allah, a God? The man worked in a steel mill, worked 2 jobs to take care of his family. Where's the real hero at? The man bought all of that band equipment. That man came home from work and I'm just trying to use this as an example because it's right in front of us in real time. And the man put his children in front of him. And yes, he whooped their backside if they didn't perform to the level that he required them to perform. That's what a God does. He will beat you into shape. And you might think that that's harsh for those of you who don't understand the way of a man. The way of a man. If you are under the rule of women, then you have this extraordinary amount of overly sensitivity about how a man disciplines, how a man trains. When I came in the nation, it said, fall in. We fell in the ranks, and then the brother walking around the DI and telling us you got to learn how to follow black male authority. You see, you have to learn how to listen to black male authority, take instructions from a black man. That demonstration prepared me to receive better instruction from the minister. It helped me to receive instruction from the teachings that I'm Elijah Muhammad, and it also helped me to receive instruction from my brothers who were in leadership in the ranks. That's important. You're right, Brother Lewis. We had a great model in the teachings of how to become a man. This is another reason why the enemy works so hard to attack it. And then some of us brothers, we become conscious. And when we become conscious, we start getting on these egotistical programs, you know, and this pissing contest. And this is something we really need to avoid as black brothers. We need to learn how to respect authority in all brothers. See, sometimes the authority is not that you're ruling over or leading me. Sometimes the authority is you have a greater degree of wisdom in a certain area. And I have to be able to respect that and honor that. So we're going to keep it moving, brothers. Dr. Salam.
Brother Jeff to leave.
Oh, Brother Jeff, if you would like to say something, you're more than welcome to say something. Brother Jeff, if you'd like to say something before you leave.
Well, dear brothers, it's Brother Jeff, 3X. I just want to say, hey, thanks again. I've been learning a lot from you brothers, and I'm always a resource that's needed.
Thank you so much for joining the call tonight, brother. We appreciate you, man. Come back, brother, because we got a lot to unpack and we want to hear from you. Definitely.
Yes, sir. Peace and blessing. Right. Yes, sir.
Peace and blessing, brother. We got brother Dr. Salam, brother. I know you got something to share with us, brother. You are a wealth of wisdom, and so we would love to hear what our brother has to say.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Assalamu alaikum, soldiers.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
I agree with everything that I've heard, and I just want to say I remember the minister saying that you cannot become a God until you have mastered 2 appetites: the appetite of food and the appetite of sex. And those 2 appetites, or the mastering, is really discipline. And it was once was a time that it was the discipline that people saw in us that attracted them to us. And we didn't walk around with our hands in our pocket. We stood straight up. We walked erect. We sat a certain kind of way. It was just a certain posture, a certain way we talk, a certain way we act. And the discipline is what is missing in the world today.
Absolutely.
We're too distracted. And so the messenger told us, many years ago. He talked about don't use abbreviation. But what is text messaging? He knew about that before phones was even out here like this. We abbreviate everything now because we're not disciplined. And so this subject is so powerful to me. I'm really listening because you're right, brother. This is the number one thing. I was the DI. You know that, Brother Michael. You DI too.
Yes, yes,
Brother,
sir. Yes, sir.
No, look straight ahead. Look straight ahead.
Straight
Don't look
ahead.
over. Don't be laughing.
Yes.
Okay? But there was things that we was told, and it taught us how to respect a black man. Okay?
Mhm.
How to respect a black man. Now, we kind of got away from that in the world, but we got to get back to it. We got to stand up, be strong, and show the disciplines that Allah has put in each and every one of us, and start sharpening each other, as steel sharpens steel, sharpen each other, and we'll be firmer, stronger, and our people would look at us as good examples of what they one day would desire to be. One last thing. That's a powerful song I heard today several
Oh,
times.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, brother, loaded. Praise be to Allah. Praise
Yes,
be
it
to
is. Praise
Allah.
to Allah.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, brother. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you, brother Jay. We got brother Chris
Brothers.
Boone on the call. I got brother Chris. I'd love to hear from you, brother. I just wanted to go through some of our guests on the call. You like to?
Yeah, well, I would like to say something about I'm out here with my wife shopping.
Okay.
And, yeah,
Oh,
but let's still listen.
okay. Okay, beloved. Yes, sir. Just tap back in whenever you get a moment. Dr. Rick Nash, we ain't heard from you in a while, sir. Love to hear from you.
Well, I'm here, and it's good to see the energy and the power that's in my brother's words and their presentation. Right now,
Yeah.
I know I'm probably the there's so little that I understand of gaining this power. I mean, one time someone was talking about getting the newspaper. I don't see it in my neighborhood, so I'm going to have to log on someplace and get it sent to me automatically, pay for it for the year or something. But anyway, right now I'm in a learning phase with you guys, and it's good to see the 14 people that are on here. It's good to
Yes.
see and know that on Tuesday night I can come back and game. So
Yes.
I'm here. I'm,
Always, brother.
call on me if you need. I'm just still learning.
Yes, sir. Well,
Yes,
we
sir.
appreciate
Praise
your
God.
humility, Dr.
Yes, sir.
Nash, and also Dr. Nash is a chiropractor. If you're a professional, brother, we welcome any of you brothers to put what you do in the chat, your contact information, so other brothers can have
Okay.
access to you and we can benefit. But yes, brother, thank you so much, Dr. Nash.
Well,
and
I'm taking a lot of leads from Brother Ali. He suggested that I say something, so I'm gonna still take my leads from Brother Ali because of you brothers, he's the only one that I have been able to shake his hand.
yes, sir.
So hopefully I get a chance to meet some others.
Yes, sir. We definitely can plan on that happening, brother. So that's going to happen. We're
Yes,
going to
sir.
definitely have that. That is inevitable with the help of God. So yes, sir. Brother asked what was the subject is no discipline, no love, the attack on Black fatherly authority. So that's the subject, brother. And we want to stay as tight on that as we possibly can. I just wanted to go through and give some of our guests an opportunity, because sometimes we get into the thick of it, and I don't want to miss it. Brother Jay, you in the building. We always, you one of the pillars of what we're doing here. So we definitely love to hear from you, brother. You can jump in, brother Newhouse as well after Jay. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, brother. Yes, sir.
I've been kind of ripping and running.
Yeah.
I caught Brother Lewis part in your introduction.
Yes,
I got to
sir.
go see that Michael movie. I heard it was pretty good.
Yeah, definitely, brother. Definitely.
What I'll say though, I'll make it real short and brief. Collectively as a whole, no discipline, no love. We must first be brothers. Everything, start with us. So I always say that we create our heaven or we create our hell.
That's right.
So, we have to be disciplined as men. we have to have the knowledge of self. Because to be a Joe Jackson, you got to go against the grain.
Absolutely.
You know, you got to see the vision.
Yes.
So you have to stand firm on what you believe in. And with that being said, sometimes if you aren't disciplined and if you don't have the knowledge of self, you can be a detriment to the household.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
So that form of leadership in us as men and great decision making is very vital, very important. And I just, last thing I'll say, I'm just listening to you and Brother Lewis, and you know, the teachings of the minister are timeless. Back to the 80s, back to the 90s, even now. You know, I was listening to one today from like 86, I think it was, something like that, 86, 89 maybe. Still relevant to this day.
Yes.
So, you know, you have to continue to always seek knowledge, do the right thing. And then the last thing I'll say real quick, because it actually is right on point with what Brother Lewis was saying about we have to get the devil out.
Yes.
And you know, week after week, you know, I turn into Mr. Webster on here.
Yes, sir.
Because definitions matter, and mysterious gods and all these things. So he said on a lecture, there's 7 devils.
Yes.
You know, and I think this is important for us as Black people to know, because it's a lot of distractions out here. The 7 devils are ignorance, false pride, unhealthy habits, eating pork, drinking alcohol, using tobacco, and using drugs.
Wow.
You know, so again, when we speak of the devil or devil, singular or plural, however you want to look at it, you got to be able to define them.
Yes.
You know, and that right there will determine, you know, what you're faced with in life and what decisions you make. So,
bro, throw that in the chat, brother. Walaikum salam. Thank you, brother Jake.
Sir.
Throw that in the chat. Yeah, appreciate that, man. That's dynamic, brother. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Always, brother Tony. Love to hear from you, Black man. If you ready, you know, I know you kind of move at your own inspiration, but I just want to make sure I called upon you so I don't leave you out the equation as I'm going down the list. But we're building right now, brothers. Again,
yes,
this
sir.
is
y'all doing excellent. You know, I was listening, and you know, you started off with that fire, and Brother Lewis came out with that encore as always.
Yes,
and it's you know, and it's beautiful to see. You know, I'll just say this before I turn the mic over briefly. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he said this. He said, by now, and he was talking about, you know, us, you know, him having to come out, you know, as the charismatic leader that he is, but he was lamenting, and he said this, and I quote, by now the teachings should have been institutionalized. Now, that the reason why I thought that was key is because everywhere we look, we see the institutionalized of people's belief system.
Yes.
Our belief systems, we carry them around in our hearts and in our mind, and we convey them as the moment presents themselves. But what an institution does, it produces, it's like an assembly line producing a reoccurring product. It can never fail. And I think a few months back, Brother Lewis, or it might have been Brother John, said something similar. And I thought about that because that always comes up in my mind when I hear us talking. What makes the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan so powerful is not exclusive to him.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
I mean, because we can see it, and you mentioned it yourself, Brother Michael, with Joe Jackson. A Black man is a God maker.
That's right.
You know,
That's
but
right.
like Joe Jackson, no, let's go to Master Farad Muhammad, whose
Yes.
father we say
Yes.
was a supreme scientist, yet his
Yes.
father still said in his first attempt for his son, I missed.
I missed. Yes.
Look at how many times Joe Jackson missed before he got Michael.
Mm.
So just because we miss does not make you a failure. And I think that sometimes the trial and error process becomes the man, then rather than the product that the man produces, he get associated with him. And I'm paraphrasing that to something that Brother Lewis has said, because when we think about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he represents principles that men have to have, one, but not that only that we have to have, but we have to mature and elevate our expression, because generations are constantly moving, constantly evolving, and the same fight that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan have, we have the same fight, but it doesn't look the same. And so we have to orientate our mind and the application of our principles of manhood to attack those specific tasks, because we have failed in our, some of us, we have failed in our specific task, you know, and because we have failed in our specific tasks, then when we look at Black men holistically, even though we have successes over here, successes over there, then the Black man holistically gets put down as if he's a failure, when the opposite is true.
That's facts.
Not for real. 87% of Black men are actually successful in their everyday life and functioning in society. Everybody's not a criminal.
Right.
Right.
That's
Know
right,
many
brother.
Black men who ain't never even had so much as a traffic ticket.
That's right.
Yes.
So
That's
so
right.
so what this enemy does is, because he knows his motives is always nefarious, but they're so sophisticated in his mechanisms, because he knows how to orientate your mind. He knows how to make you believe in the worst of yourself as being all of yourself. He knows how to project. You know, I don't want. Let me stop right there, because I don't want to go on, because I want to give everybody a chance to speak. But I do just want to say this, that we're not. I always say this: we're not critical enough thinkers. And because we're not critical enough thinkers, we do not really understand the sophistication that has gone into engineering our perceptions of self, and even our misperceptions of reality. We don't know the extent to what he has gone through. Do you know that most of our people, when we evaluate them through psychological points of their mental condition, most of the people are psychotic?
Yes.
I'm not talking about Michael Myers psychotic, but I'm talking about psychotic, because what this enemy will do is, when you don't use certain aspects of your mind, it's really called your reticular activating system. That's the part of your brain where your information comes in and you process it in a critical way, so that you analyzing everything that you are receiving. But what he does is he has made a faith-based system, because we're taking for granted that this system works a certain way. And when you have a faith-based system, you have a system that is based on not what you know, but what you believe. Exactly. When you believe something, you don't know it.
You don't know.
You know, but we have put our trust in a system like that. And so what happens is that muscle, that intellectual muscle, begins like your arm muscle. When you don't use it, it begins to atrophy. And when it begins to atrophy, because you haven't used it, it becomes painful to use it, so most people
Mm.
don't.
Mm.
So when we look at this system and
Mm.
we approach this system, because he has done this to us, we tend to think that something is wrong with us, but the how do I say this, man? Because I'm just
You
trying to,
you actually saying a
yeah,
lot, bro. You
we,
dropping that, yeah. But
bro,
go ahead.
bro,
We right there with you on the
but
edge of the seat, listening. Mhm.
Yes, sir.
but listen, the reason why we think that there's something wrong with us is because something in fact is wrong with us. But what's
Mhm.
wrong with us is that in many cases our people are psychotic because we get to points in life when we take things for granted that we don't actually know. We've never, some of the most profound things we accept as absolute truths without ever doing any investigation. And when you do that, particularly in religion, let's take religion for an example, and I just end on this point. When we take religion, most people are psychotic in their belief about religion because they got to that state without utilizing reason. Do
That's
you
right.
know that?
Yeah.
Most people don't utilize reason when it comes to belief. It's just about how I feel. And they get addicted to the feeling. And so we
Mm.
go into these mass hypnotic sessions where we become addicted to that praise feeling just as much as the dope fiend is addicted to heroin or cocaine.
Teach.
That's
Teach.
why Napoleon said religion is the opiate of the poor.
Yes.
But we use so many things in that fashion that keep us in that state, and it's hard to come out of that state because you can't reason with a person to get them out of that state. Why? Because they did not utilize reason to get in that state.
That's
So
right.
you almost have to shock their system. And that's why I like what you said, Brother Michael, when you said we're unapologetically men, because now we have to exemplify and express a little bit of that shock factor. Salam alaikum.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Brother Tony,
Yes,
for
sir.
lacing that wisdom on our dome. We appreciate you so
Absolutely.
much. Beautiful. I see your hand up, Brother Lewis. Let me come before I come to you. I just wanted to just say this. Sometimes when we look at a father, such as a brother, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, for example, we have to really become mature. And something Brother Tony said that really struck this in my brain. And that maturity is we have to understand what the aim of, or grow to understand what the aim of the Father is. As many years I've listened to the minister, one thing I get clear, really clear, he is determined not just to make us men, to inspire that in us, but to help us to be inspired to become gods. The minister doesn't do what sometimes we do. In other words, sometimes we get into some types of Iconian thinking, because that again is associated with the mechanical type nature that you're talking about, Brother Tony. This nature where we're looking for the feel good, the sensation. But when you deal with a man that is operating in divine supreme truth orchestrated by God, you have to mature. So I remember sitting in the basement one time in Memphis, and the minister told us in the basement, he said, some of you in this room will be over territories. What is he telling us? He's trying to get us to think outside of the limitations of the small scope and limitations that we have of ourselves. He's trying to get us to understand the truth, not just believe it, but to know it, and that is that we are God. I keep coming back to that, brothers, and I'm gonna keep saying I don't give a damn what nobody feel about it, because it ain't about what you feel. You got to accept that as a divine truth, that the black man is God. So you're right, Brother Tony. It's not just the minister. It's easy, it's lazy. What happens to us is we become lazy. And I just need to say this because the minister is so dynamic and so beautiful, and I love it. Everything about him. Don't get it twisted. That's my leader, teacher, and guide. And I'm a follower of Farrakhan, hands down. For any of you that got a problem with it, you can go to hell with a gasoline jacket on, because I'm a rock with my brother. But I'm also mature enough to understand this. And that is what it is that he is trying to achieve with us. And that is to get us to become what you said, Brother Tony, and this is also right in the realm, right in our subject. Get us to become what we are supposed to become within our own framework. Who is Brother Michael? We watched the minister as a example build into character to identify who he was. We have to grow and build into character and identify who we are and our role and responsibility, and then execute that. Execute it to the supremest facility. Without any limitation, without any doubt, we have to become. That's the key. And I just want to put that out there because something you said just really sparked that. You know, when we talk about a black man being God, you know, we're not talking feel good. We're not. We're talking responsibility. We're talking maturity. We're talking elevation. We're talking takeover. We're talking the fact of the matter. I'm pointing out what the enemy is doing in this portrayal of Joe Jackson, but that's not my main motive. Is not so we can be all look at what the devil doing. No, my point is for us to see the attack so we can expose the attack to our people, and then we can counter attack by establishing the truth of who we really are and start promoting and driving home the truth of who we are and taking our rightful position. That's what we have to do. We can't just be asleep. Whenever an attack comes, we got to counterattack. This movie, Michael is one of the biggest figures in the world. Have you cut it, bro? This brother is dynamic. Guess what? Closely related to the minister. Closely related to where and why I say the minister, because that's what men are being made. That's what men are being made. That's why I'm here. I couldn't be here talking about we must first be brothers. First subject I had ever taught in the FOI class. The first class of Brother Marshall, may Allah be pleased with him, said, go teach the men. I opened up a newspaper. It might have been a final call. I opened up the final call. That subject, we must first be brothers. And that's what I taught the brothers in that facility that we was in. I ain't never taught in my life outside of just being in the streets, coming up in the ranks. And here we are. Look at us, brothers. Here we are. That's over 36 years later. You see what I'm saying? 30 plus years later, here we are on this subject. I processed this. I processed this whole thing, not in some spooky way or to deify myself, because that's not what we're doing. But we have to understand that we all have a divine purpose that we got to tap into as men and as Black gods. We want Brother Lewis and then Brother John.
You can, there's another brother who you want to comment, I'm cool with it. Brother Tony just said so much, you know.
Yeah, but I think
he said a whole lot.
Let me say, Brother Tony mentioned. Okay, Brother Carlton, he's up, so I'll let them go, and I'll come back.
Did he raise his hand, Brother Carlton?
Yeah, Brother Carlton.
Okay, go ahead, Brother Carlton. Brother Carlton, you unmute yourself, brother.
Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, brother.
This is a good subject in terms of you know, how the Black man is being treated, how we have to treat each other. Most of the crime that's going on in our community against Black men is by Black men. You know, we have a lack of love of self.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan taught me how to love my brothers.
Yes.
Despite our shortcoming. I believe that, and my great captain, Brother Sharif, Abdul Sharif Muhammad, he was a great captain that taught me to love my father. My father was not present, you know. He did he did a lecture one time, and we also sat down as brothers in his office, and we were talking about our fathers. And he said to us, "Hey, brother, go to your father." He said to me, "Go to your father and teach him and appreciate him, because he's been through the things that you've been through, right?
Yes.
And he's been through it worse. He didn't get the teachers like you got it."
Right.
You know, I just wanted to say that, and I wanted to say that he was the one that made me and my father connect. In my father's last days, if it was not for the brotherhood, then I probably would have discarded my father. He had to come live with me because he couldn't do it on his own after that. So I was able to, you know, rekindle my love that I have for him I already had it for him. I wanted him to live with me years before, but he finally had to because he couldn't do it on his own.
Right.
And he came into my life. I wanted to say one other thing before I stop, is that I've never heard Minister Farrakhan put down people who came against him or denounced him. You know what I mean? You had Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, you had Ward Dean, you had Assalis, you had Collins, Dr. Collins. You know, you had Barack Obama that's been in his president and denounced this man.
Right.
Okay? They denounced this, and I've never heard him come against a brother that denounced him. They did him wrong by denouncing him. You know what I mean? Some of them owed him money. You know what I mean? I know for a fact. And they're going to turn around and diss the man. So I know the great things. I know he's not perfect, right? But that is my father. And I had to warn a brother that you got to be careful how you talk about this man and how you deliver information about this man that is negative. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
How you
absolutely.
spraying mud on this man, because he never sprung mud on people.
No,
I mean,
never.
if I'm wrong, let me know. I've never heard him sling mud on people. So he don't deserve it. I don't care what he didn't get a chance to get to you or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't think we should ever tolerate people slinging mud on that man. You know what I mean?
I agree.
We got to check it where it is. And I have been doing that, and I will do that. And if I
Praise
ever
be to
fall
Allah.
through it and slinging mud on this man, please check me. Because
Praise
he's
be
done
to Allah.
so much for me. You know what I mean? So much for brothers that helped me, like Abdul Sharif, like Dr. Alim. These are my mentors. He did so much for them. They did so much for me. And so now I'm a man that has children, has grandchildren, right?
Yes.
And my children love me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And they
Yes.
love me because of what they put in me. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So I
Yes.
just wanted to say that, brother. And
Thank you, Brother Carlton. Appreciate you. Yeah, appreciate you, Brother Carlton. Appreciate your words. You know, you struck me really heavy. I'm gonna come to you, Brother Matt. But real quickly, and then Brother Lewis, and then Brother John. Look, you said something really profound, and it just struck this in my mind. The minister is an example. Because we're talking about respecting Black male authority, which is under attack. The minister's example. Now, you know what the next level to that is? The next level to that is how we treat each other. That's the big trial. That's the big test, brother. If we could take on the same spirit that you just described, that we should have, and I agree with you, toward our beloved, then with each other. But to take that same admiration and respect and love for the power that's coming and being transmitted through our brother, then we are starting to arrive. That's how we scale. We can't scale if we stop at the minister. We only scale when I can look over at Brother Carlton and really respect, honor, and not slang nothing at my brother, not have nothing negative, not letting anybody else slang at my brother. Because I'm like, hold on. I got his number. I can hit him up. I know we can talk to him right now. You stop right there what you're doing, because I don't need you to put nothing in my head. You want to talk to brother, I can put on the phone. We can facilitate a conversation. See, we gotta operate like this, because anything else is feminine. You know, and a man operating on that level is not a man. You know, so I appreciate what you're saying, brother, and that's the beauty of what we're talking about regarding manhood and authority, is learning how to respect it amongst each other. You know, so I want to go over here to Brother Mac, Mr. Glover, and then we're gonna come to Brother Lewis, because I know you've been waiting patiently just to let other brothers express themselves, Brother Lewis. I appreciate it, brother, sir. How you doing? Good to see you again, beloved. Yeah, peace.
Good to be seen, brother. Better seen than viewed. But,
yes, sir. Word up.
The other brother can go first, and if his hand was up, brother, I can wait.
No, you come right ahead, brother. You got the mic.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and do it. Yes,
all right.
Sir.
Anyway, I was gonna say this here, that what I noticed in my journey is that every religion that I've been involved in, that everybody is stuck in the past. And what I mean by that is this. I was a Hebrew Israelite when I was a teenager. But what I realized is that they were stuck in the past. They were still stuck on Moses and the laws and all of that. And I'm like, well, brother, ain't we supposed to evolve? So I left that. I'm raised in the church. So the church had me stuck in 2,000 years ago when Jesus came. It's like after Jesus, that was it.
Mm.
Then I kind of delved into Islam because of my brother. I delved into Islam for a while, and then I said, well, you know what? I didn't feel right there because they had me stuck in 1,400 years ago with the Prophet Muhammad.
Mm.
And I'm like, aren't we supposed to evolve? Now, my brother, he stayed in the Hebrew Israelites. He didn't evolve from there. My other family, they stayed in Christianity. They didn't evolve in there. When I had some other brothers that got in Islam, they didn't evolve from there. So I'm in the church. I'm a part of the Atlanta's Concerned Black Clergy. And then I was meditating one time, and then the name Elijah Muhammad came up in my mind.
Mm.
Now, I wasn't taught about Elijah Muhammad by no brothers from the nation, so I could honestly tell brothers in the church, because they was trying to tell me, well, brother, you know, you got to be careful what you read. And I said, hold on, bro. I said, the Nation of Islam did not indoctrinate me. I said, this man's name came up in my mind during
Powerful.
meditation.
Powerful.
So, and because I heard his name in my mind during meditation in silence, I went and got all his books and read them.
Mm.
When I read his books, I was looking at it and I started going back to the concerned clergy to say, hey, bro, let me tell y'all something. Y'all ain't got a clue what that man said. I said, now, if you don't know what to look, if you don't read what he said, you don't even know what to look for.
That's right.
So this was my argument with them. So the brothers from the Nation of Islam down in Atlanta, Darius Muhammad, who was Sister Ava's husband,
Yes.
Darius,
Yes.
Sylvester, the brother, the photographer down there, Stephen Muhammad, all them brothers that was coming to the concerned clergy meeting from the nation, they were like, Mac, you giving it to him about Elijah Muhammad. Where'd this come from? I said,
Right.
man, I just happened to read his books. When I started reading his books, I started telling him, I said, brother, y'all need to read Elijah Muhammad's information. I don't care what you think. You must read his books, because if you don't read them, you're not going to know what to look for. So that was my thing. Right now, you got a brother from the nation. He is the president of the Concerned Black Clergy. And when I was in Atlanta, I'm always at the meeting. And I heard him say something. I had to go shake his hand. I said, brother, thank you. I've been waiting for somebody like you for the last 30 years.
Wow.
And so what he said to the ministers was this, and I was there to hear him say this. He said the number one mistake of the 20th century that the church made was not listening to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Wow.
When I heard him say that, I had to come.
Wow.
His name is Shannon, Pastor Shannon. He's a minister and he's the president of the Concerned Clergy right now today. So whenever I go home, go back there, because my children are still there, I moved back to Chicago. But in reading the Honorable Elijah's information, I stayed focused on what he said and nobody else. Now, I love Minister Farrakhan. I used to follow Minister Farrakhan all over the country. I would be there whenever he spoke. I was involved. I was at the meeting in Atlanta when he came to meet with all the ministers about the Million Man March. I was there then. I went down to the meeting in St. Louis when he had the meeting about bringing our information to the table when he did the book, The Agenda.
The Black Agenda.
Right, exactly. So I had a couple of items in that agenda. You know, I went to St. Louis when they had the meeting about the agenda. So I followed Mr. Farrakhan, but I always stayed focused on what I read of Elijah Muhammad.
Absolutely.
And I would not get away from that. So that's why I never dealt with Orthodox Islam.
Right.
Because they were saying, well, that's why I didn't deal with War of D. Muhammad. Because what Minister Farrakhan did, he was absolutely right when he wanted to break away from that and reform the Nation of Islam. I was debating with brothers about that. I said, bro, let me tell you something. When the messenger said that he said that they're under divine judgment, but that judgment cannot take place until our history is renewed. I remember that. So when Minister Farrakhan decided to break away, he had to call a friend of mine who was like a dad to me. His name was Theron El Mahdi. Theron was the brother who trained Mustafa. He was he was Minister Farrakhan's first supreme captain, and he was War of D. Muhammad's head of security. So when Minister Farrakhan wanted to break away, he came to Theron, who they circled him, and word got out that do not touch this brother. In fact, when I used to go to the mosque with Theron and Farrakhan see him, he would always say, if it wasn't for that brother and his brother Benny Mo, he said, if it wasn't for that brother, we wouldn't be here. So again, I always remembered that, and Theron was like a dad to me. So, like I said, I wouldn't go to Orthodox Islam because I was telling him, I said, no, brother, Mr. Farrakhan is right for what he's doing. I said, because Wallace had no business taking us into Orthodox Islam because his dad said, do not follow Al-Islam under no circumstances. And if you do, you ought to ask them two questions. Do you acknowledge us as the people spoken of in the Quran? And do you acknowledge the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as the messenger raised amongst us in these days and times? He said, if they say no, he said, conversation is over. So because of that, I didn't do no Juma. I ain't did no, what they call it when you get in it, the Shahada. I ain't did none of that. And it's only because of what I read from him. Now, I'm a brother from the church. Remember this.
Right.
But I followed and listened to him. And I followed these instructions.
Yes.
So he also said in the book, Message to the Black Man, page 97, he said, there's a book that's coming. And when that book comes, the Quran, the Bible, all other books have to give way to this book on page 97. There's a book called El's Holy Tablets that is starting off with our 76 trillion year history that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, he told us about, but he said somebody else will come and explain it. That book is out. And so I read that book. It's called The Holy Tablets. You can get it on Amazon. Put Dr. Malachi Z. York, The Holy Tablets. Everybody need that book. The full story of Yaqub is in that book. And so he said, their judgment cannot take place until our history is renewed. That's been done. That's why they're up under this divine judgment. And that's why it's important for us to evolve, because I didn't get involved with the nation because they kept talking about Master Farad Muhammad. At that time, 1934, Master Farad was the supreme being on the planet at that time. But this is 2026. And there's another being on this planet who was a supreme being that had the information, and they got him locked up in jail. This man wrote over 1,000 books. And one of the books, that Holy Tablets, is a powerful book. So
I respect that.
I've been trying to tell people, I said, all I'm saying is that we have to evolve. That's about.
I respect what you sharing, beloved. You know, and I think that's, you know, sometimes we as brothers just have to part ways, and I respect that. You know, on different points of views. You know, but I respect where you're coming from. You know, but you know, some of us, you know, have a different take. You know, and again, like I said, this discussion here, what we're here to do on this call is really to build on principles. So, you know, brothers walk different walks and have different points of views, and we respect that. You know, but I want to say that, you know, we stand, you know, we can't, the wisdom that Master Farad Muhammad has brought, brother, is why we're here on this call right now. And so I don't believe that is inspired. Yeah, but
now don't get me wrong. I understand that. I respect everything the Nation of Islam has done and is doing. Because if it wasn't for Mr. Farrakhan, our people would be really lost. You follow me? So he reorganized our people. I got great respect for that. But in the research that we still have to evolve. You know what I'm saying? We don't forget where we came from, but we must evolve to the
Respect.
2026, to the hereafter.
Respect.
That's all.
Thank you so much.
In the hereafter. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, brother, man. I appreciate
Yes,
you.
the same thing with Noble Drew Ali. I studied him. I listened to what he said.
Right.
If it wasn't for him, this land, like Noble Drew Ali in 1928, the land of North America, South America was given back to our people, but we don't know that. So I studied everybody that came to us.
So I want to steer us, but thank you so much, beloved. I want to steer us back to what we're here to talk about today. And I want to point out that brothers have their point of views, and we're gonna respect every brother's point of view in whatever that might or might not be, because some of us think totally different than each other, and that's okay. That's a part of maturity, is appreciating that we do think different in part ways in certain thought processes. So brother Daryl 7X, go ahead, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Yes, sir. I wasn't able to get the intro, but this topic, no discipline, no love, the attack on Black fatherly authority, that's such a powerful topic. And I'm just listening and to the brothers, I'm enjoying it. And like Brother Lewis, he mentioned about this war being waged on us. And it made me think, if the enemy is successful in waging this war, if he's successful in undermining the Black man, Black manhood, and Black masculinity, I'm referencing the book by Dr. Wesley.
Right.
And a war against Black leadership and Black authority, if he's successful in that, it made me think that if he can undermine that, how in the world will people accept or believe the fact that the Black man is God? So once that's undermined, it makes it difficult to accept that. And then I realized if we potentially stand in the place of God as his Khalifa or vicegerent, the attack is going to be on us. We got to expect it. We're going to have to embrace it. And then too, like a brother said something about the sisters, and I just remember nothing bad, but just showing this is a war. How they're being elevated. Who put her up there? And I just remember when Brother Captain one night informed us in class that the same snake that bit us bit her.
Absolutely.
And so but that topic, again, back to the topic, no discipline, no love, it's a scriptural principle. And it just reminds me, I'm gonna go ahead and shorten this up. It reminds me back in the day when moms and pops give you that whipping, especially with moms, pops didn't do no explaining. Pops just went to work. But moms be like, oh, this is gonna hurt me more than it's gonna hurt you, and all that old kind of stuff, right? But these also say, if I don't whip you, it means I don't love you. So I'm just saying, no discipline, no love. It just reminds you of that scriptural principle.
Absolutely.
And one last point I thought about while you brothers were talking about. I remember a few years ago when they was elevating the Black woman, they came out with this show called Black Girls Rock. I never seen white girls rock. I never seen Latina girls rock, or Italian, or any other girls rock. Why this special separate platform? The Black girls do rock. I get that. But whose idea was this? Who set that up?
Right.
To separate her from us. You know what I'm trying to say? And then, I'm sorry, I mean, like, one last point. I read this book a few years ago, thank you, brother, called Dismantling Black Manhood. And in the first page of this book by Brother Daniel Black, he mentioned that on a slave plantation, when the slave master used to come to the slave quarters, the one-room dirt floor slave quarters, the man, the father, would stand in the corner with the children as an over-glorified child, while the mother, the woman, would conduct business with the master. He did not see the Black man as his equal and would give her the rationings. That's the word he used, rationing, or provisions or food and whatnot. And so So from the plantation days, the black woman was elevated over us. In according to this book here, Dismantling Black Manhood. And that's all. Thank you, brother.
Put that in the chat, brother Daryl. Brother Daryl. Yeah, just
Yes,
type
sir.
that in the chat. The name of that book was we definitely that is powerful, and it really is. It has been systemic at this point. That's exactly what's happened today. Brother Lewis would always say sometimes they programmed our sisters to think that they're smarter than the black man. So really, they don't respect our intelligence.
Right.
And the way that the enemy manipulated our women in such a way, you know, she would go get that piece of chicken, you know what I'm saying, and come back to the little cabin or whatever. She would be the hustler, you know, and he put her in a position to be the face card for the family, you know, and totally just emasculated the black man. So, you know, that point is really radically right on point with what we're talking about today, which is why we have to challenge it and go to war with it. This is warfare, brothers. You know, this is warfare. You know, we are building a consensus amongst each other about what we have to do. We got to stop accepting the foolery. Last week we were talking about this whole thing. We mentioned Megan Thee Stallion and little stuff, and the little, you know, not that I get into all of that, but it was relevant because again, the aim was to attack a brother. You know, and that becomes the primary. Let's cancel whatever we can do to dismantle brother, but it's okay for our sister, which is a real disrespect to her, to get on the stage and shake her backside. That's insanity. Brother Lewis, did you want to come in right now? Then want to get
absolutely. Yeah. It's just so powerful. I gotta say something.
Yes.
See, we gotta understand we're at war.
Yes.
And to Brother Daryl's point, the same snake that bit us bit her too.
Yes.
Now, the only black girls that rock in the white man's world are the ones that he's deflowered and made into harlots.
Teach.
He didn't have Mother Tynetta Muhammad or Mother Ava Muhammad up there. I asked Dr. Ava Muhammad, I said, I really was appalled that they didn't invite you to the woman's only march that they had about 4 or 5 years ago. Said, don't be, beloved. I wouldn't have went there.
Wow.
And then I looked at all the pictures. These were women marching around with vagina costumes and dildo costumes. And they had some of the most low-life, degenerate females there you could imagine, mixed in with some good black women who are misinformed. Do you hear that? When they say Black Lives Matter, oh, what a great slogan. Great slogan. But when you get to Black Lives Matter, it's a complete homoocracy of homophiles at the top. See how they mix truth with falsehood?
Right.
Brother Tony said that 87% of brothers are actually doing something with their life.
Right.
But this is why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings that Master Fard Muhammad are so important. You got to understand that we have to reverse engineer ourselves because we're in a world where they kill whatever is black and strong, whether it be a female or a male, and they aid and abet what is weak and degenerate and then put that before us as if it's black. Very important. The show, you said no discipline, no love, the attack on black fatherly authority, not black degenerate authority.
Teach.
We have to go to war with black degenerate.
Yes.
We have to drive them out, as the Quran said, from whence they drove us out. We have to drive them out of the mosque, drive them out of the temples, drive them out of the streets, drive them out in order for us to save our sons.
Yes.
Say this, one of the brothers mentioned, I think it was Brother Carlton, how Brother Sharif would go around and tell brothers, go talk to your father.
Yes.
Talk to your father.
Yes.
Let's hear your father's point of view on where he's at and what happened, and listened. There's a backstory. Let me tell you what happens too often to our fathers. They're castrated and killed by the enemy. You're not here to judge your father or your mother, but I can tell you what you are here to do. We're here to make war with this beast.
Yes.
We
Yes.
hear, as brother Tony was talking about, these devils.
Yes.
If your father's devil was ignorance, then you should have a book in your hand all the time.
Yes.
So that the next generation is not ignorant. If your father's demon was false pride or unhealthy habits or eating pork or drinking alcohol to try to self-medicate because he's been overwhelmed by the devil, or if he's on drugs, then you ought to stand up and say, I'll never put no damn crack pipe in my life. I'm not judging my daddy, but I'd be damned if you're going to get me like that.
That's right.
I'm here to make war with my father's enemies.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the posture. And that's the reason why I got young man here. I got brother Marcus here. He's been listening on. He's with me all the time.
Yes.
No one has to be your biological father or mother.
That's right, Brother Lewis.
Take these young people up under your wing and make them better than you, because we got some demons too that's got to be killed.
Yes, yes.
And I pray to God that every demon that I don't slay myself, that the A-team get them.
Yes,
get them. We're here to make our communities safe and teach places to live, work, and play. We're here to make a society for ourselves. We're here to put the Muslim program before Congress, but also before our people, so that we can have a plebiscite, Brother Tony. We have to come to consensus. And last point, we got to repent and atone to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm going to say that every week.
Yes.
Because we threw away 100 years worth of generational wealth and sacrifices in the name of following this sick satanic idea that they call integration, where you mix truth with falsehood, where you poison the mind of our young people and then stand like a hypocrite and judge young people talking about their criminal activities, when the reality is we didn't have all these problems before we integrated. So I pray to Allah that he blesses our brotherhood.
Yes.
And that he gives each one of us a sword to go after our father's enemies, to make a safe space for our women and our children. This is why I joined the Nation of Islam. I want to see us build our own reality. And I'm confident that it's time and that we can do it, Brother Michael.
Absolutely.
It starts with a word, and it starts with somebody with a vision like you and Brother John to say, how can we make our ideas contagious? These young people are listening to us. And every word that Brother Tony is saying, don't direct people away from the teachings of Islam. Don't direct them away from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He is the principal teacher among our people today. And that message there will take them and give them the authority to get higher messages. But the Bible teaches that this Messiah figure, he is the way, the truth, and the life. He is the door that we have to go through to get into a higher frequency. But if you block the door and take them someplace else, you will confuse the people, Brother Michael.
Absolutely. You know, it reminds me of something Honorable Elijah Muhammad said.
Understanding, as Dr. Peter would say it.
Yeah. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, you teach the people of me. He said, I teach the people of God. You know, and if you really understand what he's saying on multiple levels, of course, he's talking about the God who taught him. But in addition to that, the character, the wisdom, the supreme wisdom that he's teaching is God knowledge. So we have to connect our people properly to God knowledge. There is no other wisdom that is greater than supreme wisdom. And that's why it's called supreme wisdom. It's not about a doctrine. It's about an elevated approach to all knowledge and wisdom. It's about reculturing and reshaping the whole mind. Like the book said, that a new mind has to be formed in us. A Christ mind has to be formed in us. So yeah, we are at war. And that beautiful picture that I'm looking at with that young brother right there, Brother Lewis, is a strike against the enemy, because that's what all of us as brothers should be doing, pulling the young brother up. You know, we get a little bit of knowledge, and I remember learning this early on. So a little bit of knowledge is dangerous. See, I understand why, because what happens with a little bit of knowledge, your ego is being satisfied.
False
But when a
prophet.
man is, when a man is evolving into a higher wisdom, then he realizes, let me activate what I'm learning. Let me put it to use. Let me put it to the market. Let me put it to the exchange and produce something from it. That's what we're here for on this call. We're not here to have religious debates. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to have no debate. I told you where I stand. If another brother stand over here, praise be to Allah, stand on it. But let's find where we can have a common denominator and build on the principle of brotherhood. That's what we're talking about. The principle of brotherhood. And so if as a young man can go and he can sit in the mosque, let him go sit in the mosque and get what he needs. That's what happened for me. That's what benefited me. That's what helped deliver me. That's what helped me to learn to love my father and not to judge him. That's what helped me to learn to love all black men and not to judge them. I remember my uncle, who was a drug addict, who was a military person, who did the time in the military, but was a broken man and ended up on drugs and alcohol. And I remember that those are the devils that took him out. But the thing I remember at the funeral, when I spoke at his funeral, and I lifted up my uncle, who I got to see. You said something earlier, Brother Lewis, about how you can see. Allah bless your heart to be in the right places. This is what black men need amongst each other. I was able to see my uncle in a proper light, not the brokenness of my brother. I understood what caused the brokenness. We can't think like Europeans when it comes to how we look at our people. We got to look at it like scientists and God's understanding what made the man that way, what broke the man. What broke your brother to make your brother like that? And so when I was able to stand up at that funeral and speak to my cousins, which was his sons and his daughters, after I got done talking and delivering the true essence and the reality of who that man was and what Allah blessed me to see, they came up to me afterwards and said, "Thank you, cuz. You helped me to see my father. I never knew who my father was, but you helped me to see." And they knew I was telling the truth because I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest of the lineage. So they knew I knew him. They knew I knew his qualities and the characteristics. The man told me how to dress. The man taught me all kinds of little pieces of things that helped me to be confident as a young man. That's why we need fatherly figures in our life. We need men. These young boys need men. Stop sitting on the sideline like a coward, because that's what it is. A coward talking about these YNs. You really are scared. You're afraid. And you can't be afraid of your own seed, black man.
That's right.
And even if it ain't your biological seed, it is your responsibility as an uncle to go to your young brother and drop knowledge and wisdom on him and take the role of a father so you can make sure you direct him, because he will grow up one day and to acknowledge and thank you for what you have done for him, but you will have changed the whole course of his lineage and his father's lineage by just being what you and I are supposed to be. That's our responsibility, brother. That's not an option. That's the responsibility. Brother Hoyle.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Very well.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. This is on time. This is on time, brothers. And man, I'm just hearing so much knowledge of disciplined fathers. I was talking to Brother Lewis the other day, and I was telling just 24/7, just our presence, brother. Just our presence as black men is a threat to this devil. They don't want to even see our damn shadow,
That's right. That's right.
The minister said, when we get into the hereafter, Honorable Muhammad, we're going to be talking about religion. The new religion is going to be doing to you, brother, what you want, done doing to yourself. We're going to be talking about separation. But going to this revealing, this latest issue of Brother Mike, Brother Lewis, and Brother John, and he says rebuilding of the family.
The final call.
And this latest one. Now listen, this is we're talking about the man against the woman, and this latest feminazi putting the black woman against the black man. Now, listen to this, and this is from the minister. The very nature of the female offers to the man that which enables the man to find that natural relief of stress or the pain involved in the struggle of man to obey Allah's instructions. Now listen to this, brother. The Quran teaches that Allah God created the male a degree above the female. Yeah? Now, degree is a stage in a scale of rank or station. This teaches us that Allah God intended for the man to be in authority over the female.
Excuse me.
why he created him a degree above the female. Satan has created so much mischief with the nature of the male and the female that there is a prophecy in the Bible that says the younger shall rule the elder and the weaker shall rule the stronger. Women shall rule over them. Now listen to this. He said the black female in today's society literally several degrees above the male, manifesting superiority in education and in the workforce. You know, we know as brothers, it's done by design. Whereas as the black male, for most part, is unemployed. Most of our educated females are working and generally are making more money than the male. And in many instances, providing for the man that lives with her. So we can say that Satan has reversed the roles that Allah for the black man and black woman demonstrated in our relationships to each other. He said, female relationships are at an all-time low. The black female can hardly find her equal in the black male to perform a successful marriage and partnership. Therefore, the black female may be more attracted to the white male and the male memberships of other races because of the inferior condition of the black male and what the white male has put against the black male. And it says the black woman is completely frustrated and hurt by the lack of development in the black male. We can reverse this trend in the Nation of Islam if the black man can be reflective of the characteristics of Allah God by submitting to Allah, that he may guide a black man into being himself. When
That's
the black
right.
Listen, when the black man himself reflecting the characteristics of Allah God, the soul of the female will be satisfied. Then she can be as Allah has created her to be, the man's consoler. And the man will find peace and quiet in mind in her. But Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us, the only heaven for a man is found in the woman. Now, what is he, the feminist movement made our woman to be? An enemy to the black man. Majority, I ain't saying all of it, but the system has made her, you know, and then what's through the internet and Megan Thee Stallions and all these Oprahs and these women talk shows, you know. I was looking at Sherry Shepherd and she was saying, we should be mad at Klay Thompson. He done messed up a good woman. You know, I mean, we know what Megan, what she is, you know. I mean, she's our sister, but
she's the victim of integration.
Yep.
Know our sister, we pray that she, you know, heals and becomes, you know, a good sister. She is God's woman, but they reduced our females into, you know, this pariah against the black male and some of the brothers too. It goes on the other side, you know. So this healing, this talk right here, our show, the Nation of Islam, the teaching of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which is the forefront of rebuilding our black family. This is a beautiful show. One more thing before I go, brothers. It's kind of funny today. You know, I was telling Lewis yesterday in Tennessee, he was telling us about Louisiana. We broke Shelby County, where I live in Memphis, in the only city in the whole United States, in the three parts, in the three districts. And they up there fighting in Nashville, which is the capital of Tennessee. And the brother, you know, almost fighting against state troopers and stuff. But I'm just saying, all we got to do is separate. There was one brother here who's a state representative, Touche Parker, and he said something. He said, well, black people in Memphis just need to succeed from the union, succeed from the state. So that's a form of separation. And all we got to do is separate. You know, politics, like I always say, politics without economics is simple without substance.
Could you put his name in the chat, please? The brother who said that powerful statement?
His name is Antonio Touche Parkinson.
Can you type it in the chat?
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you, brothers. In the news, it's making the news. Matter of fact, it's making national news. He's saying Memphis should succeed, and most black cities should succeed from their states. I'm gonna send it to you. His name.
Yeah, put it in the chat on the Zoom. On the Zoom.
Yeah. Antonio Touche Parkinson. But separation is only, like you say, brother. Separation, man, over there, brother.
Yeah. You know, brother. Thank you, brother Well. And I always appreciate when brothers come on and read. You know, because it just enriches us so much more when we can hear brothers read to us and share wisdom in that regard and point out knowledge and books and resources to help us all to grow, you know. And one thing I want to also say, you know, I think is important to point out, brothers, we are in a time where we do not, and it hit me in preparation that we don't have to fail. You know, there's never been a time like this. We don't have to fail. There is no excuse. There is no excuse whatsoever. We can absolutely be successful in what it is that we're trying to achieve.
We're the winners.
We're the winners. That's what we have to do. And we have to mature. We have to mature ideologically even and religiously and spiritual, however we approach it. We have to mature as brothers because time is moving. You know, time is perpetual motion. So you may not see a thing today that you saw yesterday. You might not see it the same way, but just keep living and live by a principle and a respect and an honor. And what you do by operating on that frequency is you give an opportunity for the evolution to take place, for the growth to take place properly, without unnecessary pushback. Go ahead, brother.
Young brother,
yes, by all means. That's what we're here for. He the most important person on the program. Yes.
My name Marcus, and I just wanted to add on to the comment about excuses. It's a little quote I took and learned in school, and my teacher helped me to memorize it. And the quote goes like, "Excuses are built up monuments of nothingness. Those who uses them are going nowhere and will end nowhere."
Wow.
That's right.
We need to throw that in the chat, Brother Lewis. That's profound. We need to make sure that gets in the bloodstream good, because we're in a season where we do not have to make excuses for anything, brother. This is a time and a season where we can use exact sciences on how to be effective, how to win. That's why we talk in this subject. We must first be brothers, because we understand that that's what it's going to take. And that means come with respect in your heart, man. Have respect. Have respect in your heart. You know what I'm saying? Don't come with nothing else. Come with respect. Brother Carlton. Patience. Thank you for being patient, brother Carlton.
No problem. You said something that was just key, and that is that we don't have to fail. And we're not going to fail. The messenger said that he will be the winner, living or dead.
That's right.
That's what makes him such a profound leader of our time, of all other leaders that ever came about. That's my take on it. There was a manifest destiny that made the white man here and have the United States of America. He was manifest destined to do that. He was manifest destined to take over this land. Now, we are now in that space where it's manifest destiny that we take that space.
That's
now,
right.
if we don't attempt to do it or get it started, then you see that young brother that came on?
Right.
That he's going to take our place.
That's
okay?
right.
And I want him to take our place because he has to learn from our mistakes or learn from our shortcomings or learn from what we didn't make happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's seeing it and he's going to make it happen. Those young brothers like him. You know what I mean?
Right.
I love staying around young men like that because
Me too.
I wish I was them, but they gonna do it, man. If we don't do it, they gonna do it. Because the Elijah Muhammad said he would do this thing living or dead.
That's right.
Okay. Now I
Be
want to
winner,
say
living or dead.
the message to the black man is our manifest destiny. Okay. 3/4 of that book talks about building a nation in economics. Okay. As long as we don't stay to that discipline, then we're gonna slow down the process. These other young brothers is gonna do it. They want the bag. Somebody told me economics is the bag, but they want the bag because that's how you're gonna be able to do what you need to do to take care of your woman. You know what I mean? To take care of your children. So I just wanted to let that be known that we got whatever philosophy y'all got out, anybody got out there, our discipline has to be to look at what this man wrote in that book and make it manifest. Make it manifest.
That's
and then once
right,
we do
brother.
that, we can
That's
protect
right.
everything.
That's right, Brother Carlton.
And, I just wanted to say that right quick, and I wanted to. There's one other thing I wanted to say. I can't remember.
That's all right.
Yeah,
You held on for a long time.
And don't take this as a disrespect, because I mean, it's something that I think we need to elevate. We need to get that book that Dr. Abdul Alim Muhammad wrote with regards to the rules of deliberative dialogue.
Yes.
That way we could be able to get in everybody's comments and maybe even encourage more people to come on and say things, and then we can start building that way. I'm just saying, it's good rules that we need to, follow.
Right.
And I think we can accomplish much more if we started to go along those lines. Assalamu alaikum.
I agree 100%. One thing I will say, because one thing we are good at is disagreeing. We have mastered that, Brother Carlton. So I'm fully aware of when Dr. Alim on the farm. I was right there on the farm. I thought it was a good thing then. I think it's always good for brothers to be able to have a deliberative dialogue. Sometimes what happens in deliberative dialogue, unfortunately, if we are not, as Brother Tony was talking about, the psychological components of what's going on in our head, we really just weaponize and being able to say whatever we feel and whatever we want to say. Real deliberative, in my view, what was intended in that was to have constructive conversations that will build, that will lead us to something successful, to an outcome. And that is always good. That's always welcome. This platform is the one that we're on here. I think we have some. We need to have deliberative dialogues, definitely in private, more private areas as we build as brothers, because there's going to be moments that we need to work through something, and that we need to be able to do that. What I'm trying to do by the help of Allah here, when this vision came to me, well, I can't say vision like I'm something like you dropped out the sky, but when this inspiration came, I don't want, I don't want to put it out there like like it's some hocus pocus, but when this came to your brother, it was about pushing the way for us to figure out how to get along. How do we get along, black man? How can I totally respect you? Ain't no weak kumbaya. I ain't got no punk up in this piece at all. You want to bring the smoke? I got an answer for you. I've been fighting this battle for a long time. You want to have a deep dialogue on what I stand on, what you stand? We can do that. We can bang. I know what to do. We know, like I said, religious gang, man. I can bang, man. I've been doing this for a long time, brother. Ain't no weak soldier over here. So I'm not trying to get a kumbaya format. I want us to have healthy discussions and talking about things that are important to us. You can stand on what you stand on, but you stand on what you stand on. We don't have to push an agenda while you're standing on what you stand on. And we can also, by the help of Allah, respect whatever it is that you're presenting. Because, some brothers, you might show us something that we didn't see, and I appreciate all of that. But my main agenda here is about unity. It's about how do we figure out, master that. We haven't mastered that. Once we master that a little better, I think that we can talk about anything, brother. It don't matter. And once we develop emotional intelligence, because black men need to have a greater degree of emotional intelligence, so we won't immediately be offended by each other as we are. We're offended quickly. That's why we kill each other in the New York Minute. We kill each other quickly, because we are easily offended by each other. Our ego get wrapped up into the conversation, and then it's a wrap. No, that's not what we're here for. I'm going to war with that. That's why I'm, by the help of Allah, regulating the conversation in such a way. I don't want to shut no brother up. I don't want to silence no brother. I'm not trying to take nothing from a brother, but I'm saying we have to have an environment, and I'm trying to by the help of Allah, curate an environment that we can be brothers, and we can be brothers, man. And then when you walk away from this conversation, you can feel like, hey, I contributed, I received something, I'm inspired. Not like, as my brother said a few calls back, he said, not just motivated, inspired, which is a much deeper root into your soul. We got to go to war. So I'm pushing, and I do have an agenda, and that agenda is what those words on this book cover. What Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us, and that is, we must first be brothers. I have an agenda to help create a real solid brotherhood, army of God, an army of soldiers that understand how important this is and can reach into the community, no matter whether you in the ranks or no matter where you are, that you understand this and that you activate this. Because some of the brothers that taught me brotherhood wasn't in the nation. They were street brothers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I learned some powerful dynamic principles from leaders of street organizations, you know. And I can't say, oh, because they lived an unperfect life or whatever, they were doing something that wasn't on par, that I didn't benefit. No, I benefited from that. But once you get greater wisdom, you act differently, you get more moral, you become a better human being. You still can take those same principles and apply them to your day-to-day life. Brother Tony, go right ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Did you finish your thought? Because
I finished it, bro. Yeah,
praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because I'm never in a rush. You know, I was listening to what you were saying, and one of the things that struck me was, you know, you talked about building an army.
Yeah.
And you know, based on the principles of brotherhood. And do you know that's why Hannibal was so successful in his military campaigns? The great Hannibal the Great. And that method had been adopted. It wasn't a new method that he utilized, but it was adopted throughout Northern Africa. And the reason why I'm saying that is because when you look at, why do you think this country, the most powerful country on earth, is suing for peace with Iran right now? They have a system of brotherhood. They don't have big personalities over there. Yes, they have a supreme leader who is the voice of their theology, but they don't have big personalities like we tend to have. See, in their nation, do you know that every man is a general? They have a system of brotherhood. They have 93 million people over there, and they told them, we're ready to die to the man. See, that's what makes them so dangerous. Because they're masters at pouring concrete. They don't care about you blowing up no infrastructure. They have a civilization that goes back almost 6,000 years. They don't care nothing about you blowing up buildings and bombs. But what happens is when we start to discuss brotherhood among us, we tend to put out our primary personalities, which is the father, as the minister said, of a family. We put out Minister Farrakhan, who is our leader, our champion. And then that makes somebody put out T.D. Jakes. That makes somebody put out, or Jesus. That makes somebody put out another big personality. And when we put all these big personalities, they're so heavy that they tip the scale. And so we begin to start talking about them rather than the issue that is at hand. Because, see, these men are going to go the way of the buffalo. That's just life. Nobody lives forever. But if we do not truly grasp the principles of what these men taught, which are eternal principles, if we and we get stuck and caught up on the personality, then we'll think that this is this man. And then once we do that, we've taken Allah out of the equation, as if Allah stopped making the impossible possible just because Minister Farrakhan left, Elijah Muhammad left, Jesus left, Moses left. They're all going to leave. You understand? But the only reality is Allah. So if we do not tap into that universal principle that is the eternal flame of God that he has placed in us, then what we'll be doing is we'll do like the Holy Quran says, that every time we look at these personalities like lights, and every time the lightning shine, Allah says that we walk therein.
Yes.
And then when that lightning goes away, we stop and stand still as if we're dumbfounded. See, that's because we should by now have had contact or with the divinity of self, with the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. What was the Apostle Paul lamenting on when he was telling the brotherhood? He said, by now y'all should be eating meat. Y'all should have teeth. You see what I'm saying? But y'all are still like babies in sincere need, in sincere need of the in need of the sincere milk of the word, he said.
Right.
And we have to stop going to the breast of these individuals, and we have to start maturing in this way. Because the minister said in the Cycles of Life, God will become displeased with you when you take your leaders for gods beside him, because he gives you these leaders as parents, as he gives children parents, until you're able to stand up on. And then once you're able to stand up, your walk and your comfort should be with you and God. And see, that's why these people in Iran are willing to give their lives, because they are comfortable in their relationship with the God. And so they're willing to put it all on the line and die. But most of our people are not willing to put it on the line and die, because we have not addressed the question of God. See, I like what Brother Lewis said when he talked, because there is something to be said about God's coming to North America. And Brother Mac, when he said that, the messenger said that if they do not accept our position in the scriptures, then you do have to be aware of that. You do have to be aware of that position, because there is something to be said about that. But also what we have to understand is that if we fall for the religious game, see, when somebody sells you salvation, they can control your destiny. Because this is how nefarious the game of salvation is. Everybody wants to be saved. Why? Because death is the unknowable. It's the unknowable fear, if you will, that we don't know what's going to happen when we die. And because people want to be saved, the moment you say you want to be saved, a slick serpent can come in and say, I can give you the method and the process by which you can be saved. And once that gets inserted into the equation, then somebody has gained control and mastery over you. See, that was the reason why Martin Luther in the 15th century wrote his 95 Theses and stuck them on the chapel door at Rome, because he saw the church was actually, they were implementing all of these sophisticated methods to gain manipulation over the hearts and mind of the people that were sincere, and the people were thinking that they were giving them real solutions that seemed divine, but these solutions were just more ways. They didn't solve anything. They were just more ways to further manipulate and make the people more dependent on them. And that's one of the things we have to be careful about, because these institutions that we have, remember, J. Edgar Hoover didn't just say the greatest threat to America was Negro unity. He also said we have more agents in your organizations than the Negro organizations than they have members. See? So anytime we try to make a move and we find somebody is the easiest thing it is for men to do is to reason together. And even if we agree to disagree, when you find somebody who is completely unrational and unreasonable that disagrees with you to that extent, more than likely that is an agent of the government that has been put in there for subversive motives. And if you don't spot that, then we'll have all of these people in here among us. We'll make all of these good suggestions. We'll present all of these alternatives to the problem, but we'll never do anything, because like that, I think it was Malana Karinga wrote that piece on how to destroy
black organizations.
It's to what? It's to do nothing and to allow nothing to be done. So every time you come and you have an idea, people will say, that's a good idea, but they'll block you from implementing it. And and that is one of the things that will happen with us before we ever even get started. People will present these big personalities, and because again these big personalities carry so much weight in these religions, we start focusing on the personalities, who is the greatest among them, and the problem again never gets addressed.
Right.
And we'll say this, and I'll end on this point, because when we focus so much on these belief systems, we do Black people as a whole a disservice, because power is reflected in your ability to execute the knowledge that you have. It's no different like when Brother Lewis goes out there, he surveys the land, he knows that business. So the amount of force that he is able to put in that industry, he understands what the output or the result should look like. Nobody is even asking what the result of a man is supposed to look like.
Right.
So no, real talk now, because we need to know what we're looking for when we talk about this man, because a man has to be made. Yeah, he has to be defined by what? By his ability to solve the problem. So when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, nobody made giants like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad made, like Malcolm X, like Minister Farrakhan, like the brothers. Yeah, Muhammad Ali, all of these other, the messenger was making giants. Why?
Giants.
Because he was making people to carry and solve the problem that they would face. And so some of our people out in on this point don't know the problem. Therefore, we can't even produce a qualified man to deal with it. And that's what we have to do. We have to sit back and say, what is the kind of man that we're looking for? Are we looking for a man like Farrakhan? Are we looking for a man like Jesus? What kind of men are we looking for? We have to ask that question, because then we can know, we can look at the minister's body of work, and he put a period to his body of work when he told us at Savior's Day, I did the best that I can do. What does that mean? I ain't doing no more work, man. Y'all killed me. I gave y'all 93 years, man. Why y'all keep bringing me out here, man? I'm 93 years old. I did the best that I could do. What is he saying? This, I gave you all I could. There's a period on it. Take it, examine it, good, bad, ugly. Take it, examine it, and feed on it, and put something together to take the next generation forward. If we don't do that sober-mindedly, man, we're going to keep repeating this cycle of looking for a big personality that we're going to put the entire nation on their back. And that was never what the Savior wanted us to do. He said, you all get busy. He didn't say, my messenger get busy. Oh, men, women, you all get busy. And that's what we have to do. We have to make this, we have to understand that this work is a universal problem. We have to have young, old, men and women involved in this process. But as men, we have to spearhead it. But we have to, again, know what the problem is that we are addressing. And we have to take true stock in ourselves and say, am I qualified to deal with that problem?
Absolutely, brother.
Beautiful. And just I add this, Brother Mike, because I was sitting down with a couple of the student ministers the other day, and I was telling them, I said, we have to know how far our experience allows us, how deep our experience allows us to go down the rabbit hole. Because some people can't go down that rabbit hole as far as others. We were dealing with a situation that had some, sexual abuse and some other things that had occurred. I couldn't go all the way down that rabbit hole because I could empathize and understand, but I ain't never been down that. I ain't never been down that far. So I don't have the solution for that problem. My solution might not be suitable. I might say you need some relief from that, some peace of mind. Let's go out here and put the 38 slug in his head, and then make you feel
Right.
better. You understand what I'm saying? But see,
Right. Right.
that might not be
Feel better.
that might not be the solution for the problem. Somebody
Right.
else might say, "Hey, I've been through that before." There's therapeutical steps that you have to go through to get back to yourself. And I'm saying we have to understand. That's why the brotherhood is so important, because you have to pass somebody off into qualified hands. Somebody has
Yes.
to be there. Hey, I need you to talk to this brother. I you know about this thing here. Somebody has to be there for that. We can't just think that we're in our own ego because we have supreme wisdom that we're qualified to handle everything. We're just not. Salam alaikum.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
we'll
like
be
some
like
brother.
the minister said, in hard trials necessary to establish the truth. He said, he said, I made a lot of mistakes and hurt a lot of people because I was doing things before character developed. You know, salam alaikum.
Right. Well, like salam. You know, it's a couple of things, brother. That Brother Tony, you kind of brought to my attention, and I'm coming right to you, Brother Lewis, and then Brother John. You know, one is that we have to mature. You know, that's the real crucial component of what's happening. And when we talk about discipline and love, you know, you're right. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad made soldiers, but he had a hard law, like Moses had a hard law. So most the believers were obeying Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They grew to love him, but many of them obeyed out of fear too. You know, like what it was in the time of Moses. But he had a hard law. But look at what he produced. You're right. He did make something. He made great men. He made men who developed their own right respect in the world. Muhammad Ali had his own respect level in the world. Malcolm developed a level of respect in the world. The minister, respect in the world. You know, so we have to mature. And you're right about the minister. The minister has laid, brother, listen, it is a damn shame that we don't see it this way. Because the problem is the minister has laid out so much work. He put out so much work. And some of us are just attached to that work in this regard, that it tickles our heart, it makes us feel good. We like to bear witness, it gives us ammunition, whatever it is. I can't speak for everybody. I'm just kind of using a blanket kind of a statement here. But what the man wants is what you got to study. What is the aim of the minister? He is trying to do the work of his father, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in helping us to become what we are to become. So if I'm not growing into my divine self, and all I can do is sit around my leader or sit around great leaders and admire them, then I'm doing him no good. What makes the Father proud is when you and I can go out and become what we are to become in the world. I listen, I know we got believers that think you need to be sitting up in the house. You need to be sitting up inside some walls to qualify yourself as a believer, you know, and that you need to, that means you are in. You know, no, that's not what the minister said. The minister said after 10 years in this process, you should be ready to take on the world. It's millions of our people on this planet that have not been taught, don't know anything that we know. It's young brothers sitting around us in our communities right now don't even know who the minister is, don't know anything about Islam, don't know anything about any wisdom whatsoever. What does that say? That means that there's so much work to be done. And so, you know, we grew up in the 90s when it was an iconian thing to look at the minister. And we go in the city, the minister draw 10,000. You go in another city, the minister draw 25,000. You know, you like, man, this is superhero stuff. We needed that. But that was given to us so that we can realize we also have that same potential to go into these same cities, do the same kind of work, maybe not to the degree, to the level, and to the point and purpose of what the minister did, because he had his assignment as we have our assignments. But we have an assignment. And that's what I mean by maturity. You know, people get a little pushback when you start talking like this because it gets sensitive, like you saying something sideways. You know, you're not saying anything sideways. You're just saying what a real father wants. Brother Lewis, your father wants you to be a man. You know what I'm saying? He didn't want you to be no punk. He don't want you to be no weak man. He wants you to be a man. So sometimes he might have put a heavy hand on you in the way that he handled you, just so you would be a man. That's the discipline that he put on you. You know what I'm saying? And he had an expectation for you to be a man. You know, and it's the same thing with our brother, the minister. He wants us to be men. You know, and so I agree, Brother Tony, 100%. You know that we have to mature all the way across the board in understanding what it is that we're supposed to do. So this is how we change the image of the black man. when we start taking our position, like you can't tell me I don't need no permission to do what I'm doing here. I don't need to go knock on nobody's door to get no permission unless I'm in the minister gives me something. I follow the leadership of my leader, don't get me wrong, but he would probably advise me. You see what I'm saying? That's the kind of man he is, because I've been around him to see it. He would advise. He would say, try this, do it this way. I wouldn't do it that way. He's trying to give you guidance based on his experience, like a real father would. But to discourage you from doing a work that is in conjunction with the work of his father, that would be totally asinine and insane, brother. And this is the kind of thinking that we got, jackass kind of thinking that we got to get out of in the way we think and process amongst all Black people and Black men in general. I know we did kind of took a little ride down this little road here, but I just want to point out that fact, because this is a season where the gods have to show up. And I mean, I want to see it in every brother. You got brothers in Africa that are just grazed up against wisdom, and they're doing amazing things. You got brothers in parts of the world just grazed up against the light that we getting saturated with and are changing whole worlds. You got scientists that have been affected by the fact that the God came, and the fact that he came and the science that he dropped on the planet changed everything. That's why you think we got AI. I don't think AI is no invention of Caucasian. AI is something that the God brings into this equation. You better believe it. What the hell you think? You think this caveman could come up with that by himself? You better get out of here thinking that the caveman can come up with this. This caveman can't come up with this kind of thinking and wisdom to create a mechanism that will start to take on a life of its own. That's God science. You see, so anyhow, Brother Lewis, we'll keep it moving.
Well, I want us to just consider the way the Lord's Prayer opens up. Our Father.
Yes.
See?
Right.
And even in Islam, they say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Mm. Believe it or not, we could be playing into the hands of the enemy by taking our Father's name down.
If that's what's being done, I hope that's not what.
Listen to
okay. Mm-hmm.
In the book of Malachi, the 4th chapter, the 4th to the 6th verse, it says, "Behold, before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, I will send you Elijah." That's a name. That's a man. And Elijah will turn the hearts of the children back, not to their parents, to their fathers. See, some of the new versions, they're putting parents. No, they're fathers. Our fathers were without honor, recognition, praise, authority. This is on subject, Brother Michael.
Yes, sir.
So something has to turn us back to not only feel comfortable with honoring our fathers, but taking an honorable position in our families. That's not personality worship.
That's right.
In the Bible, again, it says, honor your father and your mother, that your days will be longer on the land your God has given to you.
Yes, sir.
See, we can't be taught until we first have respect and honor for what the man that is in front of us. That's part of the problem why we don't have no authority in many of these Black houses, because the enemy has turned our women in a way that undermines our authority by not teaching the children to praise God in a Black man. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we don't have respect for the brotherhood. I'm not talking about the brothers here, but in general, because we don't have honor for a father.
Right.
There is no man who can put us in check based on what your father said. You remember back in the day, they'd say, John, your father is coming home. And we used to say, Tornado's coming back to town. You better get this stuff straight, Tornado. That's what we call my dad. Tornado coming back. And they called him Joseph in the Jacksons. You know, Joseph is coming home.
Yes.
But when we walk through the door and this is something I really want us to think about. We don't receive honor, and we don't know really how to handle praise and honor. The praise that we get or the honor, think about it. Minister Farrakhan gave us the name Muhammad. There is no Arab who would accept you saying we shouldn't call the name Muhammad. In fact, if you say the name of Muhammad, they'll wonder why you didn't say, may peace and blessings be, may peace and blessings be upon him. But when it comes to a black man, we think by saying the Honorable Elijah Muhammad or the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is somehow personality worship, when it's not.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get through the door of wisdom without going through the Father. And the whole motive of a father is to make the people who coming behind him better and able to do greater works than him, but not greater works if we undermine our Father.
Right.
See? And that's the mistake. And I got to say this, I'm going to say it. It may sting a little, but that's the mistake that Mr. Imam Wharfdeen Muhammad made. That's an error.
Mm.
There are things that you can see in your dispensation of time that perhaps your father, it wasn't his opportunity or turn to do. But if you stand on the foundation of your father, you can really go further. And through our children, there's really no death for us, because they go further and they take us into the next dispensation of the time. So there's no death for the minister. There's no death for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We're not even supposed to, as Muslims, speak of those who have died in Allah's way as being dead. Nay, they are alive, but we perceive it not, because that energy, that spirit, to Brother Tony's point, is all wrapped up in the obedience and us standing on the foundation that they laid for us. And this is why I keep repeating, we got to repent and atone for throwing away. See, we attacked the foundation, and we thought of previous generations of Black people, especially our fathers, as being ignorant and stupid, when in fact they left the plantation and acquired almost 21 million acres of land, which we only have 3 or 4 acres of land. So it's some honor and some respect that they are due, which means that we'd have to look at what they've done again in order for us to fully maximize our accomplishments in our time. So I don't want anyone to think that we're personality cults or personality worship.
Right, right.
But you're out of order to not give honor to the men who came before us. Many of those men lost their lives teaching us. We've had men who lost lives. And the sad part about it is, this is dangerous.
Yes.
We don't acknowledge properly the sacrifices of our fathers.
That's right.
If we acknowledge, we'll go make a touchdown and say hi, Mom, and ignore our dads. See, because our dads inflicted pain. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, according to what Minister Farrakhan said, inflicted a lot of pain on Minister Farrakhan.
Right.
But how do you handle the pain that the man who was laying the foundation for your life, Brother Michael, how do you handle it when that man inflicted pain upon you? Do you handle the pain or the discipline in a proper manner and love the man enough to take that man's word, and get the principle and purpose for what he was doing? You take him into the next dispensation of time. And if my sons and my children and those coming behind me do that, I don't believe that there's no death for me. So I'll stop it right there, brother.
I appreciate everything you just said, Brother Lewis, because I think what happens sometime when we get on in this subject area, it can come across that way. And I want to make sure I'm clear. And what you told, the more you spoke, the more I understood the necessity for what you were saying, to make sure we're clear. by no stretch, in no imagination, am I in any kind of way saying that we could ever put ourselves in a posture to disregard, to lower, to no. The book say, lift up the name of Jesus, and all men will be drawn unto him. You have a responsibility to lift the man. The man represents the standard. He represents the principle of truth. And so in uplifting the man, you're uplifting that principle of truth. I think what we're saying, or what I'm saying, and I think I understand, Brother Tony, we've had the conversations before, is saying is that what happens is, if that becomes our face card in everything that we do, then we're operating from an immature point of view. So it's not, oh, let's put the minister down, let's tuck the minister. No, it's let's grow based on what the minister is saying himself. You know what I'm saying? So even when I do personality worship, if I do a character worship, I got the minister recorded talking about this. You know what I'm saying? I got him saying it out of his mouth. Because what
a quick point, I want to ask a question. I don't mean to cut off, but do you remember when Comrade Fidel Castro made his transition and the minister talked about his life? He said he didn't want no monument or no statue of him anywhere.
Right.
And the minister said he was going to talk to him about that.
Right.
That statue, or perhaps more writings on his life, is what will inspire the next generation.
Exactly.
So it's important.
Yes.
You know, many of our Black leaders who done the most for us, we know little about them because their name was taken not only out the public, but taken away from us.
I don't think we're gonna allow that to happen, Brother Lewis. We you know, I'm in agreement with you though. But it ain't gonna happen. It ain't happening for long because the minister then brought that all the way back to full circle, and we're here, and we're here right now, and we also are not gonna let it happen. So I mean, I'm just telling you straight up. You know, I agree with you though. I mean, that ain't a pushback. That's a consensus because we just can't afford. We're not gonna allow that to happen. You know. That's why I let it be known. We got this from Elijah. We got this from the minister. Anything we're doing, we got to honor and respect. I'm just saying, and I think it's important to say, and because a lot of brothers are not thinking on your frequency or my frequency or Brother Tony's frequency or Brother John's frequency. Some brothers are literally character worshiping. See, and how do you know? It's because they're not doing anything outside of that. You know, and I think that's what, and I've heard the minister say that, you know, and so I remember I was on the farm and the minister, and we getting ready to wrap up, and I'm coming to you, Brother Tony, and then you, Brother Daryl. But I remember I was on the farm and the minister was talking about, you know, because all the believers were dancing. He was like, I really appreciate how you all behave, you know, because you're trying to impress the minister. I appreciated you allowing yourself to be yourself in front of me. You know, that was very strategic in what he was saying to me, because what he was essentially saying is that we put on a front to make sure we look great in front of him. He already know that there's other sides to us, other things that we're working out. He was trying to make us understand the humanity of ourselves and what we need. And that's the same thing we need to come to realizations with as I'm talking, is that we have to step into our own purposes for being here and etc. Brother Tony. Then we'll get to Brother Daryl.
Yes, sir. And just briefly, because that is always my point. We can't, I mean, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's body of work, which includes the minister, because as the minister said, you know, the mission of the resurrection of the dead was not divinely given to me. It was divinely given to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. My work is to make his great commission known. But that's history that you teach in a classroom setting. It's like when, as a diesel technician, I know Rudolph Diesel invented the diesel engine, but when the trucker pulls his truck into the shop, he wants me to utilize what I've learned from Rudolph Diesel to get his engine running and to get back out on the road. He doesn't care who invented the diesel engine. You see what I'm saying? So that's the point that I'm making, is that sometimes we can lose people in the technology of the wisdom that we, and the science of the wisdom that we have, rather than giving them the mechanics that can get them up moving. because as dealing with a lot of younger people, they don't understand the wisdom, and they don't have the experience that some of us have. So as the messenger said, you have to take the truth and put it in a baby bottle. And when you put the truth in the baby bottle, the baby can keep moving and get nourishment, even though he doesn't understand the formula that goes into his bottle.
Right.
And that's the point that I'm making. Never to put the message. I put the messenger out front and everything, and the minister out front and everything, but never to put them, or to hide them. They're gems that should be shared with the world. We don't have to hide them. But if we don't do it in the qualified setting, then sometimes I've watched people do the minister and the messenger a disservice by trying to insert their names in environments that haven't even been tailored to properly receive them. So they get rejected even before the value of them can be appreciated. So that's why I say that the man who comes in to the shop, he doesn't care that I know Rudolph Diesel invented the diesel engine and all of the mechanics of it. He just wants me to utilize that knowledge of those mechanics to keep him rolling on the highway. And that's why I say these teachings these principles and these teachings have to be internalized so that we can give people the mechanics of them. And then when we're able to sit down with them and give them that broader wisdom of who these actual men are, we can do that. Assalamu alaikum.
Well, listen, I think we're all talking the same thing, brothers. I think it's strategy, and I think it's important to understand that it's strategy and everything. And I think that one part of that is, there's a strong proclamation, and then there's the other aspect. And Brother Tony, I'm right there with you, brother, because I believe that, like the scripture said, there was a hiding of his power. Even the Savior came in under aliases before he let himself be known. Sometimes we just have to use wisdom before we marginalize by, dealing with something that don't belong in a certain environment. But the other part of it is that when they live in us, when they see me, what it said, when they see me, you see the Father, for I am in he and he is in me. So when they see you, they should see a little Farrakhan. They should see I remember the minister told us, he said they should see a little Elijah in you. And if they see a little Elijah in us, then whether you say, which I do agree that it's okay, we definitely got to tell the people where we got it from. But I'm just saying the main and most important thing is that they see the character and the principle of the man inside of us. That's how the Father is honored in the greatest way. Brother Daryl.
Yes, sir. Again, a wonderful, beautiful platform. And one of the takeaways I'm getting from this is, as we go back and look at Black manhood, Black masculinity, Black leadership, Black authority, and begin to accept that the Black man is God, and then we see that God coming up in some of the brothers, as they evolving into God, into their godhood. The balance is that we're not to get caught up in shirk. We're not to worship him as an individual, and then also, as brother was saying about the big personality. And if we look at the Asians real quick, just a few years ago, they successfully got anti-Asian laws passed as they were the victims of hate crime. But you never knew who their leader was. Who was their leader? Bruce Lee? Jackie Chan? No, you don't know who their leader was because they were always presented as a body of people or a mass movement. Go back and check out those infomercials, those commercials. You don't know, they never exposed their head, their leader. They never did. You don't know if it was a lady or man. At least I don't know. I couldn't find who led that movement where they successfully got those anti-hate crime laws passed against Asians. Thank you. That's all, brother.
Brother Daryl, that was brilliant. And that's why it's so important.
That's wisdom.
That is wisdom, brother. And that's why I say every brother is saying it's different perspective, but it's all true. And I'm telling you, it's all true. And Brother Daryl, your point is like straight up right on point. And it reminded me, I remember the minister had came back on one of the world tours. Yeah, world tours. And I was sitting in the audience in Mons Mariam. We had just strategically, I think, kind of maneuvered the minister back into the city from the airport. And I remember the minister teaching at a press conference, at this press conference in Mount Mariam. He said, I want to get to a place where you don't know who I am. You don't know whether I'm this, whether I'm that, whether, you know, and I'm like, in my mind, you know, thinking about what the minister, whether I'm a Christian, whether I'm a Muslim, but you don't know who I am. See, the minister's not concerned with the label. He's concerned more with the character and the principles of what we believe. Now, listen to what I gathered from that thought process. You know, that can never happen in the way that we think. I mean, everybody know who the minister is. The minister is the most popular Muslim on earth. That's just not going to happen, you know. But what is he saying? That we have to get to a point where we are exercising the wisdom, that we embody the wisdom to such a degree that when they look at you, they're looking at God. When they see you, they see God. You know, and you know what I'm saying? Now, when it's time for you to lay it down and tell them how it happened, we got to tell them where we got it from. That's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, tell the people where you got it from. That is our responsibilities. So that's what you're saying, Brother Lewis. We got to make sure we never deviate and allow that process to be broken, you know. But on the other hand, we're saying that we got to mature and we have to become what we need to become as Black. There's so many layers to this, brothers, and I appreciate everything that we're sharing today. And I think this is a good point for us to transition and get ready for you know, as we get ready to get off the call. Oh, we're at 10 o'clock right now. We already time up, but I want to play one of these tunes off our track, brothers, before we go, because, you know, we got us a cold album out, man. We Must First Be Brothers album is phenomenal, brother. I mean, phenomenal. So I want to play another track off of the album that we put together. Can you brothers hear me? You can hear me because I'm going to put this on.
Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it's lower. Oh, there we go.
Okay, there we go. That should be better right there. Is that better?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to play this song for us, brothers. Get ready to leave, you know, because I think it's phenomenal, you know. But, you know, we got the We Must First Be Brothers. That single has been released. That's on all platforms. I don't know what it'll do, but I think that they got the power and the potential to touch the world. You know, that's my thing. I really believe that the God has put this in our hand. I may be being ambitious, but I can't even say I'm being ambitious. I just believe like that. It's something really profound in what we have here. You know, just the message in this. So this one is one of my. All of them are dope, but this is one of the jams, the tunes. Protect Your Seed. I'm gonna rock that out for us a little bit, brothers, and then we can get ready to close out. Okay, this hasn't been released yet, so whoever listening online or whatever can hear it as well. But we're gonna release it in a minute. Yeah, on the other platforms. Can you hear that? Yeah. It's for the fathers, the real ones. The ones that understand. The future don't come later. It's already here. We gotta protect our seed. Yeah. They the roots, they the future, we gon' be. Water them with love, let them grow in truth. What they become depends on you. We gotta protect our seed. Every son, every daughter we lead. Their greatness watered by the Father's hand. That's how we build a nation, that's the plan. A child ain't just a child, that's a prophecy. Future doctor, leader, or a prodigy. But what he see at home, that's what he'll be. If I'm absent, that absence becomes his reality. See, discipline ain't hate, it's protection. Love ain't soft, it's correction. Gotta guide their direction with intention. Or the world gon' raise them with deception. He watch how I move, how I speak, how I stand. How I treat his mother, I deal with a man. He don't hear what I say, he repeat what I am. So I sharpen my life just to sharpen my fam. Seeds don't grow in chaos, they need structure. Too many fathers gone, now the system got them trying to teach manhood through a broken doctrine. We gotta take them back, that's not an option. They the roots, they the future, we gon' be. Water them with love, let them grow in truth. What they become
come. Depends on you. We gotta protect our seed. Every son, every daughter we lead. Their greatness watered by the Father's hand. That's how we build a nation. That's the plan. My daughter look at me like I'm a first king. So I show her what a righteous man bring. Protection, provision, discipline, care. So she don't settle for less when I'm not there. My son look at me like I'm his blueprint. So I can't afford to live foolish. He gon' inherit my habits, not just my name. So I'm building a man, not just raising a frame. We talk about the future like it's far away, but it's sitting at the table every day. In their eyes and their mind and the words they say. If we don't lead now, we lead decay. They seeds of a nation, not statistics, not victims, not caught in the system's logistics. They divine, but it takes a father to lift it. Water that greatness, so the work and witness. Water the seed, don't neglect the soil. Love is the work, and new work is taught. Every word you speak, every move you show, that's what they become. That's how they grow. No more broken homes by design. No more lost sons losing time. Stand up, Father, it's your call. If we don't build them, they fall. We gotta protect our seed. They the roots, they the future. We gon' be. Water them with love, let them grow. It's true. What they become depends on you. We gotta protect our seed. Every son, every daughter we lead. Their greatness watered by the Father's hand. That's how we build a nation, that's the plan.
All right, brothers. I hope you brothers enjoyed that, brother. Like I said, we got a whole 9 tracks of straight power teaching. You know what I'm saying? Like that message in that song, you know, inshallah, once I push it out, I already pushed out We Must First Be Brothers. Push it out, brothers. Let these brothers, you know, the minister said we got to put the message in the music. So we found a way to do that using this technology. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully we can get some people to even live perform this at some point. But the point is, listen at that message. The seed is watered by the Father's hand. You see what I'm saying? That's powerful in and of itself. So grateful for you, brothers. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you, Brother Michael.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Loved you all, brother. Appreciate you, soldiers.
Thank you, Brother John. Thank you,
Yes,
Brother Tony.
Yes, all you brothers. Yes.
Thank you, Brother
Yes,
Daryl.
sir.
Thank y'all, brothers.
Thank you, brothers.
Good
Thank you.
night. Be
Yes,
careful,
sir.
The
brother.
black man is the best. The Muslims
Black
are
man.
the best.
Yes, sir.
We are the winners.
All right.
We are the winners. Yes, sir.
Love y'all.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.